I like dioramas. I started making a Wayne Manor, but I almost got it complete. Then I kind of threw it to the side and never put it back together.
That thing was cool. I saw it in some of your... You're talking about the one that I think your wife helped you with some of the paint?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's still over there. I just never put it back together because I think I started doing those Star Trek reviews, and I just never put it back together. So.
Yeah. That was really cool because that's one of the ones I saw. Yours and Paris Dioramas, he did one, and his was like super immaculate. Yours was cool because you had the portion of Wayne of the back, well, the house that you don't normally see in the dioramas. You had like the sitting room with the the clock and everything, and most people don't put that in their dioramas. They do the inside of the cave, So I was like, man,
I'm a weird guy. I was a kid and watching the TV show, waiting for the Adam West part alone. I'm like, oh, Adam West, Batman, Bruce Wayne, forget the Batcave.
Yeah, hey.
Oh, there's
I was one of the kids too. Like, my friends made fun of me because back then I liked Batman. Even though he wasn't like, all badass and tough like he is now, I still was like a Batman fan back then when he was corny, and then all of a sudden now we're seeing this flip where in the last 20 years or so, 25 years, it's just like Batman is invincible. He's just invincible completely. He's the best, the greatest. But okay, cool. So we're here. It's an off our brains, and it's just a hangout essentially. Me and Chapman Films hanging out. So this is Chapman Films.
Hello.
And you know me, I'm STRYDENT. So essentially, I've been wanting to do this for a while. We finally got the time to do it. So we're just going to geek out for a while, and, everybody else is along for the ride. So, any new cool stuff you got, in the works?
In the works for my YouTube channel wise, I have absolutely nothing. Because G.I. Joe's at the end of the line. Unless they make those 6-inch figures.
Yeah, I think they really are.
I'm on board. I saw your Baroness Lady J review. I'm like, holy crap, what happened to your Baroness? That's the worst Baroness ever. I have a Lady J. Yeah. I bought it separate, loose on eBay, and I got lucky. Mine was okay, but I popped the head off, and I bought a custom head off eBay. What's that guy's name? Daniel's Custom Paints. I think that's his Kurt Daniels is his name on Facebook, but man, he does some great work. So I bought a female custom head, and I have nothing. I'm working on another YouTube channel here soon, and I'll make an announcement on my channel what that is. Cool. It's non-action figure related, but it's going to be pretty funny.
Cool. So, cool. Yeah, man. Yeah. I wanted to ask you too. Where do you make all the music that's in your videos? Because some of those, man, there was one you had where you were talking, it was like, I hate your face, when I look at it I want to puke. I was like, what the heck? I want to find that song. Is that you? Is that yours?
Yeah, that is me. But the really funny ones are like that one just with the cat, meow, 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 meow.
Yeah.
That was my cousin's. My cousin's an excellent piano player.
Yeah.
And he makes up stuff, I make up stuff, and like that one I made of Friends Are Bad, that was all me on that one. But then sometimes when we do get together, I'm not saying we're the Beatles or anything, we just come up with the funniest stuff, and then, we're usually at a family get-together, and all the relatives are like, I don't get that. What are they? Why are they making a song talking about, I'm so sick of your face? That's mean. All the newer stuff, lately, music-wise, that's pretty much me and my cousin.
That's awesome, man. It's awesome. I swear, you had my son cracking up. He was laughing at the meow. You guys, the meow, meow, meow. He was cracking up at that one, and then the Turtleneck Man. Some days, he actually is singing Turtleneck Man, and I'm like, wow, this is crazy. But it's awesome, man, because it's different, you know what I mean? And it's I don't know, it's just funny. It's goofy, because I know, when we're bored, we do that, while you're fixing something, or if you're playing around with your figures, you come up with these goofy little songs and stuff. And
exactly.
You made it part of the video, and that's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, Turtleneck Man was just leftover parts of other action figures, and Christian Bale head, Starman body, and what was that, Jack Knight jacket. So Turtleneck Man, and then I came up with the song. So his nemesis is Open Mouth Man, and you might see him in a video here soon. He has a song too, so I think and I can't rap, so it's funny because I can't rap and it's me rapping. So
that's awesome.
I think you'll like it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, okay, here's some stuff, because this is also a me kind of getting to know you a little more. Who's your absolute favorite superhero?
Absolute, as of right now.
Yeah.
Or all time.
Maybe all time, like maybe even as when you were a kid up to now. Like who's your favorite?
Okay, I'm gonna split it. Okay. As a kid, it was Batman.
Okay.
All the way up to those Joel Schumacher movies. No, I can't stand those. I mean,
me
Batman
neither.
Forever sucked. I tried to watch that. It was on Netflix. It's still on Netflix. I tried to watch that the other day. I'm like, why would they do that?
I know.
I didn't have problems with the '89 Batman, but I could live with it. Those from early '90s up to 89 from '93 were the best years for comics. I was in junior high / high school. I was an awkward kid. I had friends and all that.
Yeah.
But man, I remember going to the comic book store with my father, and we've always collected comics, G.I. Joe especially.
Yeah.
But I got reintroduced to Batman just from the Super Friends. He's always my favorite. The early Batman and Robin cartoons from the '70s. I like that. Those really cheesy ones.
Yeah.
And then, when they killed off Jason Todd, I think whatever year that was, that's when I got on board. Because I didn't like him.
Yeah.
And I was all for him to die, but that's all right. So, anyway, then those Batman movies came out. I'm like, Joker killing Batman's parents. Nah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I could live with it because it was the movies. But then those Joel Schumacher ones came out, and that's when I was I think I was in the Navy by that time. I'm like, no, I'm not up with that.
Yeah.
So then it was Superman there for a while.
Yeah.
Then they killed him. And then I was like, well, that's kind of bold, and I applaud DC for that. But, if they're going to kill him, I wanted him dead. I didn't think we were ever going to see Superman again, which I knew we would, but he didn't stay dead long enough for me.
Yeah.
Hope no one hates me for that. But, because that's interesting. Just kill off your main character and see how long you get away with it.
Yeah.
I applaud DC for that. But then, when Batman Begins and Batman, The Dark Knight came out. I didn't see those movie theaters. I just flat out said, nope, I don't care. Didn't watch the trailer or nothing. And then I think it's when YouTube came around, and I don't know. I saw a clip. I'm like, holy crap! I missed the boat on that movie. So I started watching. I was like, those are really good.
Yeah.
So those are completely different. And so Batman up to a point and back and forth. Love-hate relationship with him. Not the character itself, but the people who made it, I guess.
Yeah.
But, I'm going to steal a page from Rob's Rogues here. Robin has to be probably my favorite because, he's a kid. You could relate to him. Any time Burt Ward was on the screen, I'm like, that's me. That my dad was a cop when I was growing up. So I always thought my dad was Batman. So
that's awesome.
I'm like, yeah, he's not a cop. He's a Batman. So I can relate to that father-son relationship superhero team.
Yeah.
So I always thought Robin, and then didn't like Jason Todd, even though that's my first name. I thought that was cool, but he's just kind of a punk, and so I was like, kill him off. Then they brought Tim Drake aboard, and I'm like, oh yeah, I can relate to that. He's a smart kid. I thought I was smart. Hopefully I was back then, but so Tim Drake, and then Damian came around, and we'll probably discuss that later, but. I wasn't on board with Damian at first. I'm like, But those are my favorites, I guess. Batman and Robin.
And it's so which Robin? Is it Dick Grayson or Tim Drake?
Oh, that's a tough question. I'm going to say Tim Drake.
Yeah, I'm a Tim Drake person.
Just because I was a kid junior high when Tim Drake came on, and I figured around that time. It's just my guesstimate. Tim was about my age at that time, so I just could relate to that.
Yeah.
But I loved Dick Grayson too. But I'd rather call him Richard. Not Dick. I'm him a cat.
I got you.
I know it's 30s, but come on now.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I like Tim. I always feel like it's, even though, like I really paid attention to Robin when Dick Grayson grew up and was Nightwing already. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I never had a Robin figure until Tim Drake was Robin, because I always was like that Peter Pan costume just bothered me, and I was like, I can't.
Yeah, I got a story about that when you're done.
I was like, yeah, man, I just can't do it. It just looks too wrong. I don't see how Batman could be covered from head to toe, and then Robin's like half naked. Like, it just didn't make sense to me. I'm like, no. Then I saw,
and bright colors.
Yeah, decoy, pretty much. So
when we would play Batman and Robin, and they never want to be Batman. I said, okay, I'll be Robin, but I want pants. And they're like, no, you can't have pants. I want pants, which I really was wearing pants, but so they, okay, you can be Robin with pants. Like, all right.
Hey, that was one of the big things. And, you know, me drawing comics and stuff, and even trying to draw comics as a kid, that I would always redraw Robin with some kind of, like, his lower half would be different from the way he appeared in, like, Super Friends and stuff like that, because I just was like, no. No.
And different, I don't care what people, their skin color tights. No, they're not.
Yep. Okay, cool. Who's your favorite Marvel character?
Oh,
do you have a Marvel, like a favorite Marvel person?
It was back in the day when I was a kid, Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Because that was a 66 Spider-Man. They would play the reruns out of that when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Was it the colored cartoons when, you know, he talks real fast and the cool theme song.
Uh-huh.
And I always pretend he was a DC character, though. But anyway. But because, you know, it seems like when you were a kid, it's, for me at least, and the kids I grew up around, DC was a little bit, you could understand DC a little bit better. Then when you got to a teenager, that's when you started getting into the Marvel stuff.
Yeah.
It was just more scientific, you know, and, you know, spider, you know, radioactive and all that.
Yeah.
And mutants and all that. And, man, everyone loved the X-Men cartoon.
Oh, yeah.
That was right when I was, you know, that 80s or 90s version of that.
Yeah.
Everyone. I loved it, too. I wish I had that on DVD.
Yeah.
So, Cyclops was my favorite as a teenager.
Oh, wow.
And then the movies, I'm like, what the hell happened to Cyclops?
Exactly.
It's some generic guy that could be anybody.
Yeah. Yeah, Cyclops is my favorite X-Man. Yeah, he's my favorite X-Man, too.
Oh, that's cool. So, who's your favorite DC again?
My favorite DC character?
Yeah.
It was always a tie between Green Arrow and Batman, which was because I liked the fact that one guy inspired the other guy, but they make fun of Green Arrow because he was kind of lame in the fact that he wasn't, nothing about his, besides the arrow motif. He just had an arrow car and an arrow cave and an arrow plane and you know, and we used to laugh at it back in the day, but I was like, you know, I didn't really, I like the characters who train and get good at what they do, you know?
Yeah.
Because
I got you.
Growing up, me and my brother, we wanted to be stuntmen, like Hong Kong stuntmen. So we did martial arts, but we didn't really know the politics of the business, you know? So like we were quick to learn new moves, and we were into wrestling, and we were into, you know, like judo. We both studied Jeet Kune Do, and we started with classes at the Y, and then it just kept going and going and going until, you know, like I got my instructor certification, and then my brother, he kind of like trained a little bit with them, but he was more comfortable with me. So he would train with me and, you know, people that I was helping, you know, teach, you know, other stuff. But like, we always were like, yeah, the guys who can fight or who learn, like we love the X-Men because they were always in the danger room training and trying to figure, at least the old X-Men, you know, in the 90s, they always trained. Yeah. Whereas like the new guys, they don't really train. They're just thrown into these situations and they talk about their danger room time. You know what I mean? And I'm like, you got to train. You got to get good. So yeah, it was always Batman and Green Arrow, and then maybe Blue Beetle, because he was just hilarious. The Ted Kord Blue Beetle.
Oh yeah, I bet you were ticked when they killed him off.
Oh my God, I couldn't believe it. I was like, why? Why? I mean, it was so that year. It seemed like there was a lot of mean-spirited deaths in comics that year. Do you remember that they killed off Elongated Man and his wife?
Yeah,
and it was just like, wow, what's going on? Like, what? They killed off what's his name, the Atom, and then stuck him in a matchbox. I was like, wow, this is jacked up. But yeah, I dug Ted Kord. I thought he was. I always pictured him as like a Jackie Chan type of character, where it's like he's got skills, but he finds himself in situations where, you know, he would rather not be fighting everybody. He'd rather be doing the science stuff, but he's in a situation where now he has to use his skills, and it's comedic the way he gets out of the situation. And then he's got, you know, Booster Gold kind of pulling him down, kind of getting him into worse situations. But yeah, it's pretty much a tie between Green Arrow and Batman. And then with Marvel, it was Ghost Rider. I love Ghost Rider.
That's cool.
A lot of people, you know, they I guess because of Nick Cage, which I don't have a problem with the second movie as much as I do with the first one. The first one was just like, what are you thinking? But the second one felt more like the vein of the book, you know, where it's, you know, he's fighting cults and he's fighting, you know, this demon and this guy. And it felt like it. And Ghost Rider just acted right in that movie. He was so weird in the second film. But yeah, I dig and I like the 90s version more than the Johnny Blaze version, the Dan Ketch more than Johnny Blaze, just because the bike looked cooler. I mean, that was the main thing. I mean, I read those books religiously almost, you know, but I like the look of the 90s one better than the classic one. But I love just the idea of Ghost Rider. He's awesome.
That's cool. Was it in the first movie? It had to be in the first movie, because that's the only one I've seen, where he was he teamed up with the older Ghost Rider, right?
Yeah.
Is that the first one? And then they do this long, I think, Ghost Riders in the Sky type, you know, fighting.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh my God, they're going to team up. And then he goes, well, that's the end of my ride. See you later. What? Why would you do that 5-minute montage and then riding through the desert or whatever it was?
Yeah, he wasted his powers.
That's like me finally getting with you on this video and say, see you later.
Yeah, I know, right? Good night, everybody. That's exactly how I felt. I was like, wait up, this is awesome. I'm like, dude's on a horse, and the horse is on fire, and the music was awesome, you know? And then they get there, and he's like, yep, I'm done. You're on your own, homie. It's all you.
I know, that didn't make any sense.
Yeah, man, I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow. There were so many missed opportunities, like Blackheart. We all know what Blackheart looks like. I mean, there was a there was 2 video games. 3 Marvel Superheroes, Marvel vs. Capcom 1. No, he wasn't in the first one, or was he? I think he was. He's in the first Marvel Superheroes game, Marvel vs. Capcom 1, and Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and he's this like 10-foot tall monstrosity with all these spikes sticking out his back of his head and stuff, you know? And I'm like, can we have that in a movie? Like some version of that? That's more interesting to look at. Instead, we just got this guy. This guy who looked like he escaped Halloween Town or something with the weird, you know, stitched mouth and stuff. It was just weird, man. It was so weird.
Yeah. I didn't like that movie, obviously, so I never did watch the second one. So. Yeah,
the second one is funny. I mean, like, there's so many little funny things, and people don't give Nick Cage the props they need to, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Someone has to play crazy, and he does it so well. I don't know why they diss him, and it's like he's good at playing off. Like, he never plays a straight-up cool, you know, level-headed individual. He always plays crazy, because that's what he does. And it works for Johnny Blaze. I mean, the dude's got a demon in his head. Like, it's like, come on, he's got to be off. But yeah, it's a fun movie. I mean, you can't take it 100% seriously. It's not that kind of film. But if you want something entertaining to watch and just see Ghost Rider handle people, it's fun. It's a fun flick. My runner up is Silver Surfer. I've always dug Silver Surfer. I actually just finished a review of the Marvel Select Silver Surfer. I need to put that up. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Silver Surfer.
So I guess we're disappointed in the second Fantastic Four movie.
Oh Lord, yes, yes, man. I couldn't believe how much they dropped the ball. I mean, like he wasn't the problem. It was like everything else that was surrounding him.
You know? I've seen that movie once, and I really don't remember anything about it now. I just remember that it was just bad. So
yeah, it was.
I won't forget that movie.
Yeah, it was. Ugh. But and then of course there's Blade. I like Blade a lot. Man.
First and second movie, greatest movies ever.
Yeah.
What the hell happened in the third one?
Yeah, man. We call that one the movie that does not exist. We don't even talk about it anymore because we're like, it didn't even feel like Blade. It just was like something else.
I know, man. They really dropped the ball on that one too.
Oh my goodness, yes, they did. Cool. What about Image? You have a favorite Image hero?
Only one I ever read was in the Navy, and it was Spawn.
Okay.
When Spawn was really big when he first came out,
man,
everyone
was everywhere.
You gotta watch Spawn or read Spawn, and I'm like, oh, so I read it, and I was like, this is pretty good.
Yeah.
So I didn't buy any. My buddy, my bunkmate above me in the Navy, he got them all the time. So I would pass him up the DC comics at night, and he would pass me all the Marvel and Spawn comics, and we also read that was the Age of it's that I forgot the title. It's where the X-Men were in a different universe, and it was the Age of Apocalypse.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Age of Apocalypse.
They had all these.
It was Age of Apocalypse. Magneto was a good guy, and Rogue was one of the leaders. Yeah.
That was a great time.
Yeah.
To read comics. So,
yeah. It's weird.
Yeah, but Spawn is good though.
Spawn was a good book. I got into it to a point. I read all the way up to issue 75, I think it was. It's the one where he was like black and gold and he had angel wings. And I was like, oh my God, Spawn, he redeems himself. I'm like, oh my God. Then I opened the book and it has nothing to do with the cover. I was like, I'm like, are you serious? So I just stopped. I'm like, I'm done. I can't do this because like, you know, a book, comics, that was like one of the most awesome things about comics is real simple. In this episode, this is what happens. And you can tell on the cover, you know? And then Marvel started copying what Image was doing. Image would do like 4 covers or something, and they'd be by different artists, and they'd be all fancy and stuff, but they wouldn't have anything to do with the book. I mean, other than the main characters on the cover, you know? And then the same thing Marvel was doing. Like around the time right after Age of Apocalypse, when everybody was trying to draw like Joe Madureira, remember? Joe Mad was the artist, the main artist of Age of Apocalypse, and he had that kind of anime Capcom-looky kind of style, you know? And everybody was drawing like big hands and big feet and like, you know, big old anime eyes, and it was kind of like, really? And then I remember getting a couple books. There was one where it had Cannonball and somebody else fighting the Morlocks. But the inside, what you saw on the cover and what was in the book, I think it was 2 different artists, and things didn't actually go down like what you saw on the cover. And there were other ones where Bishop showed up from Age of Apocalypse, but then when you open the book, it was regular Bishop, and I was like, why did they do that? Like, I hated that because like I wanted to see, because I liked some of the designs, but some of those characters didn't really do as much if you read the main, I read Astonishing X-Men. That was one of the books, the main books in Age of Apocalypse. So like, I missed out on some of them. Like I read a couple issues of Gambit and the Externals, and I read, what was the other one? Weapon X, I think it was, that you had Jean Grey and Wolverine were working together.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, I did dig those books though. They were really cool. That was when I wish they would go back and do like an animated film of that. You know, that'd be amazing.
I'd buy it. As a matter of fact.
Yeah, it'd be better than the stuff that they've been putting out. Those Marvel movies, some of those are terrible. Like the Avengers Confidential. Did you see that?
No, I didn't watch that.
Oh, it was it's Black Widow and the Punisher, and it was like it was done by some anime studio. I think it was Madhouse. I could be wrong, but pretty much it was like an excuse to have all these crotch shots of the Black Widow. I mean, and like the animation was nice, but it was just like, wow, why is this what's going on? And it was like a really bad love story where there was some guy who was a SHIELD like scientist who was dating the Black Widow at the time, but she would always go off on missions, and he felt inadequate because he couldn't go with her. So he joins some evil organization and does an experiment on himself, so now he has powers. But I'm like, but you left her. You're not with her. So if you wanted to be with her, why did you become a bad guy and leave her when you could have just become a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent and work with her? Like, I don't know. It was just really dumb. And then the Punisher was like, I don't know. He was so powerful. I mean, like, he would shoot superhumans and they would die in like the most ridiculous ways. And you're like, why is it that they're dying when they've already established that these guys are superhuman? Like, usually what's cool about the Punisher is he has to work for his victories. You know, he has to plan, just like Batman, kind of. And they just made it like, it was like a Van Damme movie. Like, he wins because it's written about him, you know? So, it was bad. It was really bad. I mean, it looked nice, but it was bad. And then the Avengers show up for like 5 seconds before the end of the movie. And I was like, but it's called Avengers Confidential. Why are there only 2 people in there, one of which is not even an Avenger? It's weird.
That's weird. That is weird.
Really weird. But, okay. My favorite... Huh? Would you say you won't watch that one? My favorite Image characters were the Wildcats. I loved that comic for some reason. I mean, I was a big Jim Lee fan, and he's what got me like seriously into comics. And I met him in '93. I think that was the year that Image was created. And I met him at Comic Fest in Philadelphia. And I brought like a small portfolio because my art teacher was really cool. She really was like, if you like this specific thing, then we have to hone in on it. And we have to jump all in. Before this, like my family, they're all science people. You know, my dad's an engineer. Mom is a biologist. So I was going to do my marine biology because it's kind of weird. You know, there's weird stuff in the ocean. And I'm like, you know, this is interesting. But I would always be drawing. And my art teacher saw that I didn't really care about the other stuff as much, even though I was doing it. And she was like, you know, maybe you should go into the art thing and, you know, find the thing that you like and do it. So anyway, she took us as a field trip to Comic Fest '93. And I met Jim Lee and he was like, how old are you? And I think I was in like 7th or 8th grade or something. And he's like, if you're doing this now, he said, if you keep this up, you'll be doing comics as an adult. And I was like, for real? Because this is Jim Lee, you know? I'm like trading my friends so I can get all the comics that he drew, you know, all the X-Men issues he drew. And like, I'm tracing and trying to copy things he did so that I can learn how to do what he does. And then he's telling me I'm actually doing a good job. And I'm like, holy crap. So
that is good.
Yeah, it really like, I don't know, blew me up so that I could actually do it. And then, you know, I ended up actually doing comics. So I'm like, oh, cool. But Jim Lee's become so big that you can't talk to him at a convention anymore.
Yeah.
He's huge now. But yeah, the Wildcats, I loved Grifter and Zealot. I thought they were so cool. I liked, what's his name? Spartan. That is one, like, super badass robotic character. I just was like, man, they made him so powerful. And he got progressively more powerful as the series went on. And I just loved it. I don't know. And the plot was simple enough that, you know, if you just want action, here you go. You know?
Yeah.
Okay,
that's cool. I forgot all about them, actually.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was a good group. Is it Drifter now part of DC?
Yeah. The whole Wildstorm universe became part of DC, and they haven't really done anything with them, you know? Grifter shows up. Stormwatch shows up every now and then, and there's someone else. I can't remember. You hear their names mentioned. I think like Team 7 or something like that. The precursors to Gen 13. And but you don't really see all those characters. I was surprised to see Grifter in Flashpoint Paradox. Remember that? Did you see that movie? The animated DC film of Flashpoint?
I did, but I don't. What part was he in?
He gets killed next to, he teams up with Batman briefly towards the end, and he's like, we should team up. And he's like, yeah, Batman and Grifter the boy idiot. And then Grifter catches a couple arrows from the Amazons. He gets murdered like horribly. But yeah, I was surprised that he was even in there. He was part of the Resistance with Lois Lane.
Oh yeah. I do remember that now. Okay. Yeah. Man, I didn't like that cartoon, but that's a different story. But I read the book.
Yeah.
I thought the book was a bit better. Obviously, all the time, every time you read a book, it's always better. But
yeah.
So
yeah.
But overall, I would watch it, but I wouldn't buy it. You know.
Yeah.
How did I even watch it? I must have rented it off Amazon.
Yeah. No, I dug it. I'm kind of, when it comes to some of these comic book films, I'm of the opposite mindset because they're serialized, you know. It's like it's constant, like, you know, every month you get another chapter, and they want to keep the story going as long as possible so they can make as much money. Sometimes you get these a bunch of filler episodes or a bunch of filler issues, or they do these weird tie-ins where you have to buy every book that's released in order to get the full story.
I hate that, man.
And yeah, I can't
read what's happening in Batman. Go to Wonder Woman.
Yeah, and I'm like, really, like I just this past year, I finally got to read all of the Infinity Gauntlet, and and it was a good series. But when I was a kid, I could only afford one of the like 50 books that it was part of. You know what I mean? Like, I only had enough lunch money to get, you know, I'll diss my lunch money today so I can get the new issue, and I couldn't read everything, you know. So like finally, through alternative means, I was able to read all of it, and I was like, wow, there was no way I would have found all this stuff when I was a kid, you know. Some comic book stores didn't even carry all of it, you know.
Yeah,
but
that's funny.
Okay, here's another question, because I know since we do, you know, action figure reviews and stuff. What would you say, like, growing up, what was your favorite action figure line?
All right, I'm gonna break it down in years again. The earliest memory, Star Wars. You know, the original 77. I remember getting those as a kid. TG&Y. Grandma said, pick one out, and I remember the first one I picked out was Princess Leia. So there's a picture of me somewhere at either in this house or my grandma's house with me holding up that Princess Leia. And then G.I. Joe. Not the cartoon. I remember actually, and not even before the comic, I just remember seeing them at the store. I'm
the
like,
12-inch ones?
Huh?
The big ones, the 12-inch figures, or the little ones?
The little ones. You know, because when the little 3 3/4 ones, I remember like, what is that? Why did they have, you know, their elbows move instead of like Star Wars? Holy cow! You know, and then my dad like looked at him and he's like reading the back of the card. And my dad was in the Army and he's like, "You want this?" And I'm like, "Okay." And then I got home. I think I had Grunt of all people to start off. No, Snake Eyes. Excuse me, Grunt and Snake Eyes. One in first, and I'm like, oh my god, this is cool. Looking at Star Wars, and they're doing, you know, kind of the, you know, up, not even the shoulder articulation, you know, just the arm movement, and then bending the GI Joe's arm movement. You're like, oh, this is so much better. And then my dad we got the original 12, or what we could at the time, almost the original. And then you started breaking them down by him. Great. Okay, this guy's an E4, so this guy has to be in charge of this guy. Yeah. And that's the way I would play. And then one day we were at the store, and comics back in that day here where I live at, they were kind of scarce. So whenever you saw at the convenience store, that's what you picked up.
Exactly.
And he was reading, I was getting Batman at that time. He was reading Warlord. I don't know if you remember that guy.
Oh, yeah, I remember him.
Yeah, and he was reading that in Teen Titans, and then he flips this one comic over. He goes, "Look at this," and it was like G.I. Joe number 14. So it's been out for a while.
Yeah,
and I was like, "They have a comic book of that?" And he's like, "Yeah," and so then I was on board, and then the cartoon came out, and we're like, "Oh my god, we're in heaven." My dad watched it. I watched it. That whole miniseries with the mask device.
Oh yeah.
This is so cool.
Yeah.
And so the Star Wars got kind of put away, and then the G.I. Joes broke out. And then around that time, Superpowers came out. So I'm like, oh, I was in love with both of them. And then my dad said, okay, it's either this or that.
Yeah.
And I convinced him. I said, okay, because I started eyeballing Transformers too, and he goes, Transformers are too much. G.I. Joe's the right price, but if you want occasional superpowers, because he only could get them at the grocery store from here.
Yeah.
And I said, okay. And there wasn't that many, so he was okay with getting them every now and then. But he loved breaking down the army ranks. I mean, and he didn't care what the cartoon said. He didn't care what the comic book said. We had to go by my dad's ranking, what the file card said.
That's awesome.
That's what I still do it, too, to this day. You know, we go by what the file card says.
I remember in your reviews, when you showed your collection, you were talking about, like, you know, this girl, she's in charge of this group, and this guy's in charge of this group. Yeah.
You know, so, I mean, there was that one cartoon, I think it was the movie, where Hawk tells Beachhead who's in charge of the G.I. Joe team.
Oh,
and I
that was
looking at
Serpentor.
my dad, and he's like, no, that ain't happening in our house. Like,
yeah, that was a Rise, Serpentor Rise, where, like, Flint was like, it's Hawk, then Duke, then me, then you.
Yeah, but not in my house, not where I grew up.
No, that's awesome, because, you know, back then, it seemed like when they advertised a lot of the older toys, it was like they'd show the dad playing with the kid, you know, like that's what you did. And it's not like that now. It's rare, really, when you come across. I mean, with us, guys like us, where we're like, look, these cool action figures existed, and your kids are like, hey, I want to play with those now, you know? You want to play with them, but, like, typically I don't see it as much, you know? And a lot of kids, they're not interested.
Yeah. But, you know, I forgot He-Man. I did collect He-Man for a short time. But, because I even had Castle Grade School at one time.
Wow.
My dad liked those. He pretty much bought what he liked. And I loved He-Man, but, you know, I wasn't as in love with it as G.I. Joe and DC stuff of Superpower.
Yeah.
But something happened. I think well, you know what? I think I wrote you this, but, you know, the G.I. Joe figure started breaking after a while.
Yeah.
The thumbs went off. And then all of a sudden, one day, horrifically, the crotch piece to Duke broke off. I almost vomited. I'm like, oh my God, that is so gross. I'm like, you know, almost a teenager. Oh, that is horrible. So I ran and got the super glue. I tried to glue it back, and just like in the movie Goonies, I glued it the wrong way.
Oh, Lord.
So it was up. I'm like, break it off. So I don't know what I was thinking, but, you know, I had to start retiring those figures, man. I was like, okay, Zap is off the team. He got hurt. Dude got killed in action. That was shot off. So then, you know, I think I sold my collection, and I made pretty good money. I had almost from 83 up to 86. I had everything.
Oh,
my room was shelves of G.I. Joes. I had more toys in this toy store.
Wow.
But I sold it in high school. I wish I kept the vehicles. Yeah. But then I think I started getting, when I got out of the Navy, you know, that whole surgence of Power of the Force came out.
Yeah.
And I started getting those, but I was limited what I could get because I was in the Navy. You don't have much storage space, so I started sticking them all in the back of my car, shipping them home.
Yeah.
And then I sold all that because the prequels came out. I'm like, don't want this crap no more.
Wow.
So, and then I started, the 25th G.I. Joes came out.
Yeah.
DC classes came out. And I'm like, I can do this. And then Rise of Cobra came out, stored them all away, just kept G.I. Joes. I was so pissed off at that movie. Just had the DC superheroes came out. And then I started watching your reviews of G.I. Joe, and I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to break those out. Because where that guy's coming from. The love of the classic characters.
Yeah.
And then after watching your review, I said, you know what? He's talked about The Rock a lot. I want to see what that's about.
Yeah.
He kept talking about he wasn't roadblocked and all that. I'm like, I want to see what Stryden's talking about. Yeah, he's not. After watching the movie, that guy's not roadblocked.
Yeah, man, it was weird.
That's okay. So I was like, I could live with that. So
yeah, it's strange. It's really strange how, I don't know, stuff just changed. I remember in the like late 80s, early 90s, you had so much to choose from. Like so many lines. Like when you go to Toys R Us or, you know, what were places? Big Lots, Job Lot, Odd Lot, whatever it was called back then. Caldor, Bradley's, all those places that you would just go and see, like while your parents are doing their shopping, you're like, I'm going to the toy section. Like, there were so many toys. And then like now, you rarely ever see, like, there's a lot of kids stuff, quote unquote, but there's not a lot of like the stuff we would collect, like that mid-range collector / older kids toys. And like when they're there, it's always like just a handful of them. It's not the whole line. I mean, I remember going and seeing all the Joes from the movie in the store, like all at the same time, all multiples, well stocked. And I knew my friends had them. So it's not like they weren't selling. It's just they kept them stocked, and that was awesome.
Exactly.
Same with Transformers, except for Optimus Prime. I swear, as a child, Optimus Prime was eluding me like crazy, man. My mom's like, get an A on this test and I'll get you Optimus Prime for your birthday. Man, we went searching. Nope. We tried to order him from the service merchandise catalog. Nope. We tried to, then Power Master Optimus Prime showed up. We went to the catalog again, sold out. He was sold out so quickly. I was like, Christmas came, he was gone. I was just like, man, so I never, with G.I. Joe and Transformers, I had a handful of G.I. Joes at a time as a kid. I had like 5 of them. The first Joe I ever had was Rock and Roll. And like you said, I found him at the grocery store. He was like right when you're at the checkout. He was one of the things hanging there. And I got him there when I was really little. What was I, like 5? I was like 4 or 5, something like that. And I got him, and I was like, this is really cool. And then later on, I wanted more. And then I met this kid when I was in kindergarten who, his dad was a vet, and he bought him everything. And this kid was part of the Joe Collectors Club. He had the Steel Brigade figures with his name and all that stuff on the card. And I was like, wow. I mean, I went to his house, and like you'd look in the catalog or the little, fold-out thing you would get with the Joes with the vehicles. And he had all that stuff in his room. And I'm just like, man. And here I am with like 2 Joes. I'd bring my 2 Joes and come over and play with them. And sometimes he'd bring like a big duffel bag with him when he came over to my house with like a ton of Joes and stuff so that we could actually, play and really get into it. But yeah, man, exactly. with my meager collection of Joes. But like I played so much with them that, like you said, the thumbs broke. And like I didn't do like, in the commercial, they would always like put the gun in their hand kind of the wrong way. It just become like balancing in their hands, like just sitting there. I would always try to like have them chamber it the way I saw them do on television or something,
Yeah,
and that's why the thumb would always pop, because you'd have to turn the gun in their hand and it would force the thumb back and it would just pop off. And I'm just like, So, yeah, I never had more than like 4 Joes at any time. And then when my younger brother was born and he got old enough to play with Joes, between the 2 of us, we had maybe like 6. And that was it. I had another, I bought all the versions of Rock and Roll because he was my favorite, especially when he got buff. You remember when he had the cap with the bullets going around it? I was like,
that was cool.
He was cool. And he had the weird double Gatling guns. I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah, I was like, because that was when like Arnold and Stallone and all those guys were big. So like I saw him as one of those kind of characters. He's stronger than the other guys. He's bigger than the other guys. He's carrying quadruple, Gatling guns. So it's like he's got to be the leader just because he's huge, And yeah, he was one of the only ones we had, and they broke. And then I was just like, meh. But I started to get into the 12-inch G.I. Joes back then. There was like a period of time between the movie. No, it was after the movie. It was Operation Dragonfire, which was supposed to be the second movie. And that was the one when they introduced Alley Viper and Scoop, and the 2 of them were friends.
You're talking about the other cartoon series, right?
Yeah, the one that wasn't so good.
They never showed that here. I did not know that was a real cartoon until like a couple months ago.
Oh,
like
wow.
That JoeBattleline.com posted a picture on Facebook. I'm writing in like, what the heck is that? And the guy that was a cartoon series after the Sunbow one. So
Yeah.
like, that never came on here.
Yeah.
Ever.
When that came out, I was done. I was like, I'm done with Joe's. I don't like the way the cartoon looks. I didn't like some of the characters because they were fighting like some drug dealer. I was like, really? Like G.I. Joes are fighting drug dealers? And then they had, what did they do with some of the other characters? They had the Ninja Force and all that weird stuff. And I just was like, okay, I'm good. I'm just gonna get the 12-inch ones and make my version of the ones that I liked from back in the day, who I couldn't get. And so I had a ton of those guys. Then the Hall of Fame figures came out, the 12-inch Hall of Fame figures, and I had a bunch of those guys. And then Street Fighter came out, and I had a Van Damme G.I. Joe. And
I wouldn't say that out loud, man.
What's up?
I wouldn't say that out loud.
I know, right? I had Van Damme as Guile. I was like, because Guile was my favorite Street Fighter. And I was like, I have to get this one. And then I got him, and I'm like, I got to get Bison so he can have someone to fight. And
there you go.
Then I was just like, man, these are really bad. And I turned them into other characters eventually.
There you go. That's what I want.
But no, like in that time, let's see, I collected as a kid. It's weird. When I was a kid, it was whatever. Oh, Centurions. We collected Centurions.
That was a cool cartoon.
Yeah.
Right? The green guy, the yellow guy, and the guy, they changed parts on the toys. Oh, because I could never find those here. So,
we got two of the three we were able to find at a Odd Lots, and my sister wanted the third guy because that back then the way it worked was like, if my dad or mom got something for one of us, there were three of us, then everybody had to get something. So we would kind of community collect things, you know? So I wanted the sea guy because I always liked, underwater exploration and all that stuff. My brother wanted the air guy, Ace McCloud. And their names are so bad. Max Ray was the water guy. Ace McCloud was the air guy, and Jake Rockwell was the land guy. Rockwell. But yeah, we collected Centurions. I remember collecting some Rambo figures. We never really had like the whole collection of any of that stuff until Ninja Turtles. And when Ninja Turtles came out, me and my best friend, we would like plot how we're gonna get the next group. Like if ever we got money, we would like save it up so that we could bug our parents, either his parents or my parents, to go to Toys R Us, and then we just come back with a gang of Ninja Turtle stuff, And we were checking off the checklists and the whole nine. I was so hardcore into Ninja Turtles. And then late 90s, Kenner came out with, I had Kenner Batman stuff, but I didn't have a lot of it. But in the late 90s, or maybe it was the mid 90s, they came out with Total Justice, and my mom and my sister got those for me and my brother. They got like everybody, the whole entire, like what was available at the time. And I was like, oh my God, because they looked way better than like the superpower stuff, and they were all in these cool poses, and they were real stylized. Yeah, they were kind of static, kind of. They only had the same, what was it, like 5 points of articulation, But
they were different.
Yeah, and they had the armor. They had the weird like Batman and Manhunter made armor for them, so each one could like enhance their abilities or something. So yeah, I have that whole collection because my brother, when he got older, he pretended like he didn't play with that stuff. So like I kept the ones that he left, at the house. But yeah, those were what I pretty much collected. I never had more than like 2 or 3 Transformers. Because my dad, being a, now I have a bunch, but like, my dad he's an engineer, so if I could trick him into buying something with cars, involved in cars, he'd get it for me. So Transformers were perfect, because, in the box, they would usually be in their vehicle mode. So I got a couple of them, but I would always, I don't know, it's like I'd either drop them or be too forceful while you're trying to transform them, and something would break. So
they did break too easy. I had Megatron. And but I always kept them in the gun form, because they had that long stop. But that looks like a real gun from a distance. I'm surprised I didn't get shot or anything. Had the big scoop on it. I thought I was acting like I was James Bond out in the backyard.
I have a good.
I had that thing all chambered right here. And it had the shoulder thing. And I had the blue Corvette. I think his name was Trax.
Yeah,
right?
Trax was cool because he could fly. He had the weird open the doors and he could fly.
Yeah, I had that. And I have strange memories of having Optimus Prime in the house, but I don't remember having an Optimus Prime. I get that. I remember having it or in my house. I don't remember anyone bringing it over. I don't know what the deal of that is.
You wanted him so bad.
That might be in my other dimension. I slipped through another dimension. I don't know. But I might have had that. I'm not too sure if I did or not.
Yeah. Yeah, I had Megatron too, right? And my aunt that lives in Queens, she got him for me on one of my birthdays. And we were going, I remember this distinctly because it was one of those times where I'm like, wow, I can't believe I did that. So we were going to the grocery store. I think we were going to like Key Food or Pathmark or something. That's what they had out there. And here I am with Megatron in gun mode in my pants. So we walk out the apartment. We're walking down the street. We get almost to the thing, and she sees me playing with Megatron in gun mode, and she's like, "What's wrong with you? You're gonna get us shot!" And she throws him in like a garbage can next to in front of the apartment that we were walking past. And I'm sitting there like, "You just threw away the transform. I could have just turned him into a robot. Like, you just threw him away." And I never got him back. We didn't even go home the same way that we walked because it wasn't that far from the house. So I was so mad. I'm like, "Oh my God." And that was around the time where it was like the beginnings of the weird gun control stuff going on in the East Coast. So yeah, it was one of those things where he looked convincing. He looked really convincing.
Away now.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm like, and I felt like an idiot. Like now when I think about it, I know I was young because it was the early 80s. So I had to be like, maybe anywhere from like, I don't know, 5 to like 7, something like that. Yeah. So yeah, but still, that's like a figure that, Megatron's my favorite Transformer and next to Optimus, but Megatron is at the top for me. And I was like, man, why was I so stupid? Why did I do that? But yeah, man.
That's so funny.
That was one of them.
Man, I don't know if I would share that in the video. I'm just kidding.
I know people in the comments are going to be like, "What's wrong with you?" My former self was not that smart. I'm sorry. I grew...
like the worst story for a Transformer. I just threw it away.
Man, she snatched it out of my hands and she tossed that thing so fast. I was like, man, oh my goodness. But let me see.
That's funny.
What about? Do you play any video games at all?
I really don't because I'm the type of guy that if I did play one, I would never go to work. Like my son, I just get so immersed in video games. That is so addicting.
Yeah.
And I remember summers, when the original Nintendo came out, just doing that all day.
Yeah.
And then I go to a friend's house, and my friend wouldn't even look at me. He's like, "Hey, how's it going?" He's just staring at the screen. And then I would watch him play Super Mario Brothers. And he's the kind of guy you couldn't play 2-player because 2-player was, you wait till that guy died. He get from World 1-1 all to World 1-8 in one turn.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay. But I was fine watching him play it.
Yeah.
And he would show me all the cool moves and all that. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to go home and do that. This of no sleep, playing Super Nintendo, renting that thing for like $2.99, getting it for a day and have to take it back and then go rent it again. And there's only one copy, so God forbid, you missed out on that copy.
Man.
So I said, you know what, I can't do that anymore. So I'd probably kill myself because it was crazy. So I know if I did, I would die. So it's so addicting, man.
Yeah.
I can't do that. But if I was going to play a game, I would definitely play those new Batman games.
They're good.
Those look so stinking cool.
They're really good.
And what else is new? Here's the guilty pleasure. I would probably play Grand Theft Auto. If somebody take the car, that'd be awesome. Hey, you know what? I'm a really good person deep down. Good Christian man. No, I want to get on a video game and give me that car.
That's the thing too, and that's the alternate argument for video games is a lot of times it's a way for, you know, people to just explore the stuff that you probably would never ever do in real life, you know? Some people, like, some folks like medieval stuff, but they don't like it enough to go to the Renaissance Festival. So
those are crazy people at the Renaissance.
So they get Skyrim and they just chill and they play that and they get their fix that way, you know? Some people, they're good people, but they got to get their aggression out. So you play Hulk Ultimate Destruction and you, like, elbow drop a car from, like, 500 stories up off of a building or something, you know? Body slam a robot. I don't know. Like, that's what they're for, you know? So, yeah, I hear you.
What do you play?
I play... One of my favorite games of all time was Mercenaries 2. It was like, it's kind of like G.I. Joe. Or it's, how do I put it? It's like Grand Theft Auto / G.I. Joe. You're a merc in Venezuela. You get double-crossed. And then the whole game is you doing different missions for different factions and stockpiling gear and stuff so that when you find the guy who double-crossed you in the beginning, you just completely obliterate the guy. I mean, you can call airstrikes. You can fly helicopters. You can work with, like, the different factions. Like, there's the Chinese military is there, the Venezuelan. There's, like, these freedom fighters that are there. The allied nations are there. So you can kind of do things that either ally yourself or align yourself with one side versus all the other sides, or you could do a little bit for everybody and still be a free agent, you know. But
I would be into that game. That would be a cool game.
Yeah, it's fun. It's real fun. And it's funny because, like, the way I play games, because of our adult duties, you know, I would only play, like, I'd ration it out like an episode, you know, like you play this mission and just this mission tonight, and then when you're done, and you go do your whatever else you got to do, you know. And
you have more willpower than I can't do that.
It was hard at first. Yeah, right. It was tough though, because, like, I would want to see what else was going to happen, you know. So you try to kind of do a little bit of the side mission while you're doing the main mission, you know, and, like, you explore different stuff. But, like, I would play late at night when I come back from work. And, like, my eyes, after a while, your eyes are just like, dude, you need to go to sleep. Like, your eyes are telling you, you're not gonna progress any further in this game. You need to close these eyes and go to sleep. So, yeah, I would just play a little bit till right before that happens, and then I go to sleep. And now, like, if I don't go to sleep, you know, reasonable time, the wife will wake up and be like, you go to sleep. Like, what are you doing? You know? So I can't just be up all night playing video games like we did when we were in, like, college and, you know, in high school sometimes. And even in college, it was weird because of, we had class. So, like, you try to stay up and be cool, and then you'd be struggling in class the next day. So, so it's one of those things, you know, you got to ration it. At least that's what I try to do now. So, yeah, I rarely ever play anything. Like, it's been a long time since I even reviewed a video game on my channel. Like, I think the last thing I did review was, it was a Batman game. It might have been Arkham City. And and I loved it. I played that all the way through for, like, I think I got it on before Thanksgiving, and I got to play it during the break. So, and I beat it in a fairly short amount of time, and then I went back and did all the other stuff that you could do. And, yeah, that game's amazing. It's really, really good.
I seen your review, and I seen other people's reviews. Yeah, I could do that all day. I have to stay away from that. I just watch. That's what YouTube's for.
Yeah,
just watch
I know, right?
Play it. I'm like, okay, I'm good.
Exactly. What was your favorite cartoon back in the day? Because I know you're a cartoon.
Obviously, G.I. Joe. Like I said, the whole math device. You know. That whole miniseries, because that's what it was, just a miniseries.
Yeah, it was a couple of them, remember?
Yeah, and Revenge of Cobra, and then I think the other series, the regular series, came out eventually. But when that mass device, you know, it would show at 4 o'clock on one channel because it was syndicated. Then on another channel out of Oklahoma City would show it like at 5:30.
Oh, wow.
So we got lucky. So we would literally like that Monday, the ones I think I caught it the first time, like, hey, what is this? Turning the TV on. I'm like, oh my God. So I told all my friends, and by the third day, we literally ran home from school, just jumped 6 blocks, just like, I gotta get there. Let it come on 5:30. I don't care. And then after it was over, we go outside, talk about what we saw. I guess that's the way we did reviews back then. Yep. Just in the front yard.
Did you see that part? I remember those days.
By 5:30, we would run back inside and watch that stupid thing again, just in case we missed. That was, and He-Man, that was good. And then the classics, Bugs Bunny, stuff like that. That's always been funny.
Yeah.
But just the biggest impact on anybody who lived in this area was G.I. Joe, man. When that first came out, we just running home trying to get. I mean, we're probably books falling out of our backpack.
I know, care. Right? You got to flying everywhere. You got to see what happens to your Joes, man. You got to see.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think
of course, I'm the idiot out there in the front yard. Well, the way they did that, because Duke is not really head of the G.I. Joe. They lived a Hawk. In the comic book, there's Hawk in them. Why have his figure? Then I run inside to go get it and show everybody. He goes, that's Short Fuse. No, right here. You can tell by his suspenders here. Silver, that's Hawk. And here's his file card. And, the original Hawk came out on a vehicle.
Yeah.
No one saw it. I got it at a drugstore of all places.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, that's not Hawk. Duke is headed to G.I. Joe.
Exactly.
So I'm running back in, getting the comic. No, see here, right here. This is Hawk.
And
that
plus,
like Duke, because he had blonde hair.
He had blonde hair back then, yeah. That's what I was going to say. The two figures came out, looking similar. But the funny thing is, the original 13, Duke was not one of them.
Exactly.
So a lot of people...
Still the cartoon, really... They started. I don't know why. There's probably a story behind it, but some guy named Duke, and I was okay with Duke. I love Duke. And I was like, oh, that guy's cool.
Yeah.
But Hawk was always my head of G.I. Joe. Still is.
Yeah.
I do have Admiral Keelhaul up there, and a custom Joe Colton up there.
Wow.
But those guys are just in the office. Hawk is the guy that goes out.
Exactly. Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, Keelhaul came with the coffee cup. Come on. Man.
Exactly. Yeah, the G.I. Joe is crazy like that. There's all these people that come to it from all these different places, and a lot of people don't get the full scope of it. You know what I mean? They don't.
Oh, yeah.
Some people will read the modern stuff, but never go back and read where they started. Because I got into I guess you can call it an argument or a debate about what the Joes should be like in a movie. They're like, people were saying they should be straight up military, and I'm like, no. Did you ever read the first issue of G.I. Joe? They're like, no, it's old, blah blah blah. I'm like, no, read the first issue. It's amazing. With them saving Dr. Burkhart, and it's like Hawk sums it up. He says, our job is to make miracles look easy. And then they go and save Dr. Burkhart with freaking jetpacks and laser guns. You're like, that's what G.I. Joe does. I mean, they don't necessarily have to always have laser guns, because that's kind of goofy to some degree. But if you make it work, if sci-fi can be the lone laser trooper, you know what I mean? But the jump packs are cool. I like that idea. Some of the technology being near future tech. I'm on board with that. Yeah, that's the way it should be. And people are arguing nope, they should be running around with M16s, and I'm like, no, that's lame. That's anything military. We already have that. G.I. Joe is supposed to be the cream of the crop. It's one Joe is 50 soldiers in the regular, regular military. So
exactly.
Yeah, it's strange, man. I don't know. And a lot of people don't like G.I. Joe the movie. I liked it because it was just as weird as the book. It was crazy. Them doing stuff that the normal military would not be doing. They don't fight monsters and Cobra Law. What? You know what I mean? That's why I would read G.I. Joe. Ninjas? How many ninjas do you know in the United States military? I'm pretty sure they don't go looking for ninjas. I mean, and it's weird too, because so one of the schools that I trained at, my instructor also trained soldiers. So he was a CQC, close quarters. There's an acronym for it, and I forgot it. It's been a while, but he had the patches and he had all the certificates and all that stuff up there, and he would always make fun of the kids who thought that like you go to him to learn how to become a ninja, you know, like they're all like, yeah, when are we going to learn all the ninja stuff? He's like, you're in the wrong school for that stuff. But like, yeah, there's people who learn ninjutsu, and then, you know, there's people who use the martial arts in their military, you know, their service, but it's not at all, you don't get a sword as standard issue. Like, no, that is not the military, you know? And so when I'm arguing with these adults and I'm like, guys, do you realize how weird that would be? Like, hey, I want to enlist as a laser soldier for the United States military. Like, wait, what? No, like, they'd probably laugh at you and be like, yeah, go home, homie. You need to go home. Go back to school. But, you know, whatever, to each their own. A lot of people come to it from different eras and different, you know, comics and stuff. It's kind of a cool thing about G.I. Joe, I guess, because it's been around for so long. Good Lord.
Yeah, that is true. It's been around for a long time. Here's a funny story. I was in the Navy, boot camp, and I was sitting there, I'm thinking, man, I wonder when do we get our code names, man? After I thought about that for a second, I'm like, you know what? I bet we don't get code names. I think that was just G.I. Joe. I'm 18 years old, coming to reality. Oh, crap, we don't get code names. And then I get on board my first ship, you know, Navy ship, over in Japan, thinking, all right, okay, I want to be the guy that drives the ship, you know, like Sulu on Star Trek. But it's just a fun guy. It's everybody drives the ship.
Exactly.
Like, oh, that sucks. But I got to drive the ship. And then, where's the damn elevators? There's no elevators.
No, stairs everywhere. Yeah.
I'm like, oh, crap. Reality hit in. No code names. I didn't get to drive the ship all the time. That job. And
no elevators. Yeah, it's crazy, man. Like, I have to say, G.I. Joe definitely was one of those things that I know a lot of people. My cousin, he enlisted because of us watching G.I. Joe. I remember watching it with him, and he's like, I want to do that. I want to do that. And I'm like, you know, it sounds cool because I was younger than him. So I was like, yeah, do it. I don't want to get shot at. So I was like, I'm not doing it. And then we got older, and he did it. And he joined the military. I think he joined the Army. And I mean, he enjoyed it. He enjoyed the whole, you know, everything about it, you know. I just was like,
So did he become a laser trooper? No.
Who knows, right? It's one of those things.
That's one thing the cartoon in. I mean, I love the cartoon, of course. They're all shooting laser. But what the hell is Flash good for, man?
Yeah, you know? I know, right?
You know?
Yeah.
But I just pretended that he had a high-powered laser.
Exactly.
That, you know. And then Sci-Fi had like the super high-powered laser.
Yep.
Because the Final cartoon, he has to move a little bit slower, you know, to get to his target, whatever, something like that. So I was like, okay, I can relate to that.
Well, like the original Sci-Fi was a missile. What was he? A missile guidance something or other? Because that laser wasn't supposed to burn things. It was supposed to be the targeting missile so that you could guide the strike. Yeah. And they have those guys in real life. But I think later on, because kids didn't get it, later on they were like, okay, let's just make him in the cartoon a laser trooper because it's easier for you to, you know, to the general public to understand, you know?
Yeah. But, I wouldn't understand as a kid, so. Oh, and then the flamethrower. That guy just burns people, man.
I know, right?
I was thinking to my dad, I was like, he just burns people.
Yeah.
And my dad's like, they don't have those no more. Because I really don't know why they would put him in a modern army kind of thing.
So jacked up.
That's brutal.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm like 8 years old coming thinking, that's horrible.
Yeah. He's burning cobras alive. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Actually, they had, well, technically, they had two of them, but I think one was more like putting out fires and, you know, bomb disposal.
Oh, yeah, barbecue
and blowtorch.
barbecue.
And blowtorch and barbecue. And then later on they had Charbroil, which is like, wow.
Yeah. And then at the very last of the G.I. Joe line, Ice Cream Soldier. Remember him?
I know, yeah. I was like, what is going on with that name?
I done quit G.I. Joe by then.
Me
And
too.
like, I just remember I would still look at him at the store and I'm like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, man? I know, right?
They just ran out of names.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I used to read the comics back then. Like, I read there were like kind of the continuing saga that it kind of picked up where the Sunbow cartoon left off. And I read that for years after I stopped collecting or even looking for G.I. Joes, because I wanted a lot of the vehicles and I could never find them, you know, like the Defiant. My wife and I we go on eBay every now and then and try to see if we can find one that's affordable, you know, even if we have to find the pieces.
That's great price, yeah.
And the flag. There was one Christmas we were going to try and get the flag for our older son. And then we saw it was like over $1,000, and we're like, we're going to pretend that this is the Defiant, because there's no way we're going to try and spend that on. I mean, that's like a car payment and a house payment, like for us. Like, no, there's no way. But yeah, man, some of those figures and some of those vehicles were so hard to get. You know, I could only get like the small things. I remember having whatever the four-wheeler was. I can't remember what it was called.
The ferret?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. And then Cobra had the one with Cobra had the one with the big cannon on the side.
Yeah, I think that was the ferret. Yeah, that was cool, man.
Yeah, that was one of the only vehicles I had.
Oh, that's bad, man.
And then now it's a different story, because like as I got older and I'm like, you know, I have time to go hunt stuff down. I ended up finding all this other cool stuff, and you know, and plus the vehicles got cooler as time went on, you know. Like, a lot of people give Rise of Cobra all this crap, but Rise of Cobra had some cool vehicles, you know, and some.
They did. I will give it that much. They did, like the Rhino, that came out. And I think it came out before too, but that Rhino's awesome. I wish I had that.
Yeah, it was a.
They had.
It was a. What was it? It came out for Sigma 6 first, and then it came out for Rise of Cobra. Yeah, that was a cool. That was the first vehicle I got when I started back collecting G.I. Joes. We found it at Target on clearance for like something ridiculously low, like $10 or $15.
Oh,
it was ridiculous. Now I see it on eBay for like $100 or like $80, and I'm just like, wow. But
that's crazy.
Okay, so here's some stuff that is kind of going on around the YouTubes and the interwebs and stuff, and I just want to know if you have a opinion on it or if you feel any way about it. So like, I recently came across this video where what's his name, PewDiePie, he's like the highest, you know, he's like the YouTube mascot essentially. He cut off the comments on all of his videos because he said he's tired of all the fighting, all the spam, and then just all the negativity that flows through the comments, because people just don't know how to act when they're given a chance to talk. What do you feel about that? Does like on your comments section, because I know one thing that I've noticed with me, you, even ODC, that's me, is like our comment section, more than the negativity, we still geek out in the comment section. So like typically I don't see, for us, and maybe it's the precedent that we all set, because we're not what's the word? We're not hosting that kind of attitude, but it seems like we keep it fun. We try to keep it fun, at least, you know, and we don't really go through it as much. But do you think, have you had a lot of like people being all crazy negative and like, you know, dissing what you talk about in your video or something like that?
Okay. Around the time Man of Steel came out, and I was doing those Star Trek reviews too. So, okay, let's do the Star Trek. The Star Trek community, man, I love Star Trek and all that. Those guys are so weird, man. You get one thing wrong, and they just blast you in the comments.
Yeah.
Oh, I almost like, man, screw this, man. Screw YouTube. I'm not doing this. And then, still, Movie Masters came out.
Oh, Lord.
And that's one of my highest videos, is the Superman. and people were blasting me just on my style of reviewing. And so I said, okay, I'm all about constructive criticism. Then I started looking at, okay, let's see how many, let's see how many videos this guy has. Zero. That guy had 0. And I'm like, I'm listening to you, man. You know? So and I wrote Stu, Stu Murray.
He's a cool guy, real cool guy.
Yeah, he is a great guy. I wrote him. I said, "What is up with all your Superman fans? They're just laughing." And he didn't write back. Well, he wrote back something, but it was his wife that wrote back to me. She wrote this really, really sweet letter. Hey, don't let those guys get you down. You got a very unique style of reviewing. Funny. I mean, they were blasting me because I was, being funny pretty much.
Yeah.
I was funny. I hope I'm not like that guy off of Good Morning Vietnam, the lieutenant that thought he was. But, she said, just keep it up, man. Just do your style. So I just started, anytime I get and I don't do it anymore, but back then, I read it, constructive criticism, junk. I keep the constructive criticism, but if it's just downright F you, blah, 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 you suck, Star Trek sucks, or Superman sucks, delete. And then if it gets too bad, I'll just block them. I'm all about freedom of speech, but man, it's my YouTube channel. Too bad.
Yeah, no, so I agree.
But as of right now, it's all love in my channel. And people write me really stuff, and I was even recognized out in the street not too long ago.
Really?
Probably earlier this year. I went to the store to buy some milk and pizza or microwave pizza. That's one of my favorite foods. And the guy said behind the counter said, "Hey, love your channel." I'm like, what are you talking about? He just threw me off guard. He's like, I've been watching you for a while. I'm like, okay, here's my money, and I just walked out. So
that's
then
awesome.
I eventually went back, and he's like, hey, he started talking about some of the music on there. And he goes, "You play?" And I said, "I barely play, but enough to make it funny." And he was like, "Hey, I play too, and we discuss music and discuss G.I. Joe." That is so weird, man. When you finally meet someone in person, you're like, "Oh man, that's weird."
Yeah, man.
So anyway, so how do you deal with negativity? Do you have any bad comments on topic?
Oh my God, yes. Okay, so the reason why I even started doing this stuff is because I felt like too many people would review things based on how they feel and not based on what they actually saw. So just like you said, Star Trek fans, if one thing is off, then you have no credibility. You are a complete doofus and you don't know what you're talking about. You're the scum of the earth. And it's like, that's not true. I was like, whatever happened to being objective first, and then you say, okay, this is how I feel about the thing, Tell me, if it has 10 points of articulation, can I move all 10 points of articulation? Does it work? And then tell me what I feel. I'll tell you what I feel about what I have, But so I did a review about racism in comics, or a video about racism in comics and movies. And, oh my God. Oh my God. There were people in there trying to attack. The weird thing is, one guy attacked me, and then I countered what he said, and it wasn't like a, F you, you're an idiot, blah, blah, blah. I was like, I took what he said, and I just told him piece by piece, everything you just said makes little sense if blah, 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 blah. Then he was respectful, and then other people started attacking him. So I had to be like, look, chill out. It's not like that. We're trying to have a conversation because we want to change it. We don't want to keep doing it in the video, in the comments under a video that's talking about this very problem. That doesn't make any sense, So I'm still policing comments on that video. And I did that video almost, it was almost 3 years ago. And people still pop up and they're saying stuff. And I'm like, holy crap. Then me and Agent O, we did a video about, what was it? Sexism in the fighting game community. I'm still, and I did that 2 years ago. We're still getting people trying to fight with, because we were talking about people being sexist, especially towards women, being misogynistic towards women. And we're like, you got to have more respect than that. And I think that it comes from the fact that if you're playing online, I don't necessarily know who you are and I can't see you. So some people feel like because there's that anonymity, they can just say whatever they want. And you hear it a lot. There's a lot of racism. There's a lot of sexism. There's just a lot of weird. It's not even trash talk anymore, you know? And I was like, back in the day, we played in arcades, and you would never say 95% of that crap to the guy next to you because him and his friends would probably fold you up and leave you outside and go back and play the video games, you know? And and I've seen it happen. Like, I used to play Street Fighter, like, I played professionally for a while, and then I got tired of that scene, and I just played in the arcade because I liked being in the arcade. And a lot of times there were girls that would pop up and be good because they played with their boyfriends. And they would hustle these guys because they'd be like little cute girls that don't look like they would even be interested. And then they get on the sticks and they pull off something complex, and the guy's like, you just cheated, blah, 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 man, you blah, blah, blah. And they got to call her a name. And then her boyfriend shows up with his friends, and they beat that dude up, like, for saying something, you know, ignorant. And it's like, I only saw that happen a handful of times in real life, you know? And then I'm thinking, like, in comparison to what we hear online, that would happen so much more in real life if this was in the arcade, you know? But anyway, I said that in my video, and then people came on, and whenever a woman would say something in the comments, then these guys would jump on them. And then if you defended her, they'd be like, "This, are you a white knight?" or some whatever the catchword was for the time. And I'd have to police them, and I was like, man, this is ridiculous. So I think like what I have, it depends on what the subject is. When I'm talking about action figures, every now and then you get someone who just comes in and says, yeah, that figure sucks. And you're just like, whatever, man. You're that one guy, that the obligatory troll that has to show up, whatever. Mm-hmm. But typically, I've been getting a decent, good, like, group of, like, people that really love this stuff, you know? So we don't have it as bad as some places. But there are a couple videos, man. Like, I talked about a Blade anime, and I didn't like it. Oh my goodness. All the anime nerds came out and started attacking me. And I'm just like, I gave you a very clear and concise, very objective critique about what was wrong with the show. If you like it, you like it. But I'm telling you what I found wrong with it. And they attacked me for that. I think the Blade stuff I did is probably the highest amount of views I've ever had for anything. I think like in a day, I had like almost 10,000 views on one of those videos. And it was all arguments. Everyone arguing with me. I was like, come on, guys. This is whack. But yeah, overall though, I don't have it as bad as anywhere near as bad as what PewDiePie was talking about. And I think it's jacked up because his from what I've learned, it seems like his fan base is mostly like teenagers, you know, like because he does a lot of Let's Plays and stuff. And I'm thinking like he has billions of views, and it's all teenagers, and he still has that much, you know, bad kind of comments and press and stuff. That has to suck. Like,
it would suck. Yeah.
God,
I mean, I've said that a handful of Star Trek fans. He has jillions of teenagers and probably weird grown-up men. You know.
Oh man. Yeah.
I don't think I could handle that kind of success that he has. I mean, obviously he's just a professional YouTuber now, but man, that would be weird.
I know.
I would love to say, hey, all I'm doing is YouTube right now. But it would be hard to manage, I think.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Sure. Here's my biggest problems with YouTube people, okay?
Okay.
Pretend I'm a professional blogger, all right? Hey guys, welcome to the channel here. I am so tired. I made 2 videos today. I'm like, get out of here, man. I worked 8 hours, or I worked 16 hours, and you're tired. I can knock out 2 videos in a day. And this guy behind the screen, jillion subscribers. I had to edit 2 videos today, man. I'm like, I don't care. Yeah. I'm glad you have 1 million subscribers, but man, I could knock out 2 videos.
Yeah.
Probably in less than 8 hours.
Exactly, man. That'd be awesome. Are you kidding me? And make money off of it too? Oh my God.
Yeah. Hey, I'm tired, guys, and that's his whole vlog. I'm probably going to get a lot of hate because this guy got a lot. I don't know why I watch him. He's a great guy, but it just gets so tiresome just to hear the vlogger, and he's not the only one.
Yeah.
Hey, guys, welcome to my channel. I am so tired today. I had to write a video for you guys.
Yeah, man, I would love to be, if that was it. If I was making art and making YouTube videos, because sometimes I do 3 videos in a day. I'll just, because
3 videos, good for you.
And I'm so tired. Oh my God. That's just like, no, but like I would do them if you're like, you know, you get motivated sometimes when something pops up, like, and you just feel like, hey, I got to get this out. I got to do it. So you shoot the video and you just keep going and you're like, oh crap, it's like 9 o'clock. And I started when I got off work at 5, or maybe it's 1 o'clock and you started when you got off work at 6, you know? And it's like, wow, where'd the time go?
Exactly.
I would love it. That would be awesome. Or like the guys that they have like 1 billion subscribers and they're like, for the 3 people that are watching this, I'm like, come on. You got to know that you got more than 3 people watching. Come on, guys.
Exactly.
But no, I would love to, if this was one of those things where we all could, like, you know, network up and just make videos and jump on each other's videos and we could just do what we normally do on a regular basis, then that'd be awesome, because we'd all have time to, you know, do what we normally do, but then we could also kind of mix in all this, you know, making videos and stuff, and that'd be fun. It'd be pretty fun.
That would be awesome.
But I've heard from like a lot of the people that have become more successful over time. They've explained how much, you know, you have to, you know, be your own advertising. You know, you have to be your own agent, essentially, you know, for YouTube.
That is true, and that would be the hard part, and that's what I would get tired. You know, on the phone, making contacts, collaborating with other people. Yeah. You know, I know I'm so and so. I got a jillion subs. You have a jillion subs. Let's collaborate. You know. Yeah. And so that would be the hard part. Yeah. I would think. I just get tired of talking to someone on the phone at work. 2-minute phone call. Get off the phone so I can get back on the internet.
Exactly. Exactly, man. Like I couldn't. I mean, I guess if it happened, I'd find a way to make it work. But yeah, I would get tired of all that, like getting on Twitter. I don't even use Twitter, and I know I probably should, but I feel like I'm too old for that crap. Like,
same here, man. I really don't get Twitter. I mean, I can post on Facebook. Hey guys, how's it going? On Facebook, and then you know, some of you would respond back. I'm doing fine. How are you doing? Twitter. I write the same thing, but I don't know where it goes, man. It's my friend on Facebook that are reading it.
Yeah, it seems like it's just we're doing the same thing over and over and over, and I'm just like, man, I don't even feel the need to share everything with people as it is. I go on Facebook sometimes to use the messenger to hit up people that I don't know if I can call them at this time or if they're really far away. That's pretty much what I do. Or I'm like, you know, I'll hit you up here. So when you have time, you hit me up and then we talk. But I don't really post. Huh?
It's like an answering machine.
Exactly, pretty much. Yeah, I don't want to be up on Facebook all the time. Plus, most of the people that I know on Facebook, I actually know them. So they'd call me anyway if they really want to tell me something. So, I don't have 1 billion friends on Facebook because I just don't need 1 billion. I don't have 1 billion friends in real life. So, you know, I don't know what to say. But, okay, here's something that people have been fighting about. And some have been talking about it in a respectful kind of way, but some people are just like, whatever. Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. What do you think about that movie? What are your hopes for that movie?
Man, I just hope it's good. What happened if that movie just bombed?
Yeah,
they would cancel all the DC Comics movies that are. I'm 99% sure, or they would get, if they did, whatever they would make would be ridiculous, just as ridiculously stupid. Yeah. Ridiculously stupid. You know, it would be a Joe Schumacher lineup of, you know, that movie better be good. Yeah. I'm 99% sure it'll be good. I love Man of Steel. There's some parts I did not like that I can live with, you know, but man, I just hope they don't, you know, these extra characters that are supposed to appear, I hope they're just cameos. Yeah. Because, man, I'm really going to shoehorn all those people in and still have a good. We see what happened with Spider-Man 3 with, you know, Venom and the Green Goblin, you know, Harry's Green Goblin, you know. So I I'm all up. I'm up for anything. So I just want it to be good. You know, I'm happy. The actress they picked, I think she'll be all right. You know, I just hope there's some kind of Robin reference. If not, Robin's not there. Let's hope they at least reference him.
Yeah.
I do like the style of the Batmobile. I like the actor they picked for Alfred. I'm on board for Ben Affleck to be Batman. I love the guy who plays Superman. Amy Adams as Lois. Yeah, I just think it's all the cards are there for it to be great.
Yeah.
Just hopefully, and the guy who's writing it is from Argo.
Yeah.
And I've seen clips of that movie, and I was like, I gotta watch that full movie.
Yeah.
So it has to be good, but the problem is, it is so 2016.
Yeah.
It's not even 2050. We gotta wait still another year.
Yeah,
man.
I know.
Come on, it's killing me. And then they're talking about by 2020, the new Green Lantern. I just can't wrap my mind around that. You know, I just like, okay, it comes out when it comes out. Man,
exactly.
You know? And with Marvel movies, I'm like, God, I can't keep track of that. You know, so I just like Avengers. I know that's coming out. So that's the only movie that I have on my horizon within a new Star Wars. I know those are recent.
Yeah.
I don't bother speculating how, you know, the other ones, you know. And if Batman versus Superman comes out, and if it's just a big courtroom drama,
I know,
Batman,
right?
Superman, I'm out of there. I'm out of there.
That's exactly how I felt.
Courtroom drama.
Yeah, I'm like, why did they name it like that? But whatever, you know. I personally, and I've said this before, after Man of Steel, and I liked Man of Steel. A lot of people hated it. I know it has flaws. I went there because it was Superman doing more than what we've seen him do previously.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
That's really all I wanted. As long as he had something else to do besides just save people, then I was going to be happy. You know, as long as there was a real villain in the movie, I would be happy. And they gave me that. I mean, they gave me some other stuff, but they gave me that too. So I'm not so, you know, I don't have issues like that with the movie. It was fun. I just...
Let me ask you this. $1 million question. What's your opinion on Superman snapping Zod's neck? What's your opinion on that?
It felt like it was the only course of action. Like, he's not quite it's like this was technically Superboy. He just put the suit on like that day or the day before, and literally the Earth went to crap like right then and there. So it's kind of like it's his first day on the job. He's not going to do everything perfectly. You know, he's got to crawl before he walks. And people, I mean, if you look at Batman Begins, Batman wasn't perfect like right out the gate. I mean, he was making a lot of missteps too. Actually, if you look at that whole trilogy, there's a ton of missteps. The second movie was Batman failing one after another, and then Commissioner Gordon picking up.
That movie was great. He was learning. He'll be Batman.
Exactly. Like one day he'll be that Batman that we all want him to be. But that's my gripe with it, is that I think Nolan he's more interested in the pre-Batman Batman. He's not interested in the Batman in his prime. He wants to show you all the other stuff. And I'm like, I want Batman in his prime on film. Because that's what we need to see. Because I'm pretty sure that's where we're going with Superman. He's going to be in the next couple things. He'll probably be in his prime. But as I was hearing all the stuff that was going to be in Batman versus Superman, I got to a point where I was like, I don't care anymore. I don't like all this leaked information, all this like so-and-so who you've never heard of is going to play Cyborg. Like, I don't care. Yeah. Like, okay, just tell me who's going to be in the movie. Jason Momoa may or may not be Aquaman. He's going to be Aquaman. Why'd you even tell us if he's not going to be Aquaman? like just tell us. I don't know. I don't like how movies have started pandering so hard to the fan base, like, especially because comic book movies have become so big that, like, nothing is left to your imagination. You know, like, when superhero films came out in the past, like, the Superman films, the Batman films, even Swamp Thing, it just came out, and you're just like, oh, there's a Swamp Thing movie? Like, for real? Like, okay, I'm gonna watch this and see if it's good, you know? They didn't create this, like, this artificial hype train where it's like you have to see this, or, you know, we've got footage of the set of blah, 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 and it's all boring. It's like people standing around a set. Like, that's what you do when you make a movie. So behind the scenes footage is not going to be amazing, and they make a big deal. I had this one site that there's a guy on YouTube called Will's War, and he does really cool videos. Well, he used to do really cool videos about like superhero films and ways to make them better than what they've been. And I was like all about his, videos. Then I go on his website, which is called, I think he writes for a site called Movie Pilot or something like that, or he used to, I don't know, or his videos are featured there. And every day it's like clickbait. They're just like, oh, new footage from a trailer for Batman versus Superman. And I'm like, really? Here's the suit that Robin will wear in Batman versus Superman. And there is no official Robin anything. It's like somebody talked about this in a meeting or something. And you're just like, come on, guys. I would rather...
I stay away from those now.
Exactly. Yeah. And I try to, but like, when you subscribe, or if you check out that site, or you go to a post on Facebook from that guy, you'll get like suggestions about that particular place. So like the advertisements will pop up, and sometimes it's like, oh, new stuff, let me see. And then you're just like, ugh, come on. But yeah, man, I got overwhelmed with all this crap from Marvel and DC. They show you so much, and I'm just like, man, just tell me that the movie's coming out, and then let the movie come out so I can be amazed. So I don't know, like I remember the feeling I had when the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie came out. It was just like, I was completely blown away, because I didn't think ever I was going to see something like that, especially not recent, like not in the same time that I was reading the comics. Like I didn't think, like, because they were fairly new at that point. I think they had been around for almost 10 years.
Yeah,
when the movie came out.
Yeah.
And then the movie came out, and we're all like, wow, this is actually pretty damn good. It wasn't bad, it wasn't cheap, it looked right. And then same thing with, Batman 89. Like, yeah, I know plot-wise, Batman was like really crazy in that movie in comparison to the Batman that we've read in comics and stuff. But I like the fact that they took the subject matter serious enough, and even in a trailer, they only showed you enough to make you be like, wow, I really want to see that. And we all wanted to see it. I remember everywhere you went, the Bat logo was like everywhere around that time.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Right now, I don't like what they're doing, where they just pander so hard. And people, it's like they build up everything so much to the point where it can't possibly be as good as everybody's saying it's gonna be. It didn't even come out yet, and they're already giving it, like these perfect scores, and they're telling you it's gonna be the greatest thing ever. And it's like, it can't be. Come on. So
exactly.
I don't know. That's what bugs me about those, the way they handle movies these days. And I wish they would simplify and go back to the way things were, where
they didn't know the movie was even coming out. Yeah. Like you said about Swamp Thing, you're like, what? That came out? That was that last week? Oh, okay.
Yeah, or like Blade. When Blade came out, Blade was like a super sleeper hit. The first Blade just came out. Everybody was talking about The Matrix, and then Blade came out. And we're like, wow, they made Blade? Like, of all characters, Blade? And it was good? I'm like, wow, I have to see this. So, and then you watch it and you're like, wow, this is really good. Like, that's what I want to feel when I go to the theater. I don't want to see everything in stills before I go to the theater and actually pay to watch it in motion. Like, that just feels kind of like they cheapen things for you a little bit,
Exactly. That's so funny.
Yeah, what about you? Anything? I know I'm asking you all these questions because I know we chat a little bit in the comments, but we typically, it's usually about our videos. So
yeah.
What about you? Any random questions for me?
Yeah. I'll give you the easiest one. House is on fire. You only get 2 action figures. Which action figures would you get?
You said 2
action. Of course, your family's safe and all that, but you only have time to get 2 action figures. Which action figures would you get?
Wow. Oh my goodness.
All right, you only got 10 seconds here.
I'd probably push all my Joes into a bag, a pillowcase or something.
You only have time for 2 figures, man. 7.
My Keaton Batman, my 89 Batman, and my
5, 4, 3, 2.
I don't know. Bulletproof from Cops. I love those figures, man. So yeah,
that's cool, man. That cartoon never came out here, man. I cannot. I looked that up after we got done talking that one day. I'm like, I've never seen that before,
Yeah.
man. I don't know what happened here in Oklahoma. I don't know. Bible Belt did stop showing cartoons or something.
Yeah,
I first in the stores though. But I didn't know there was a cartoon. Most toys had cartoons back then. Though,
yeah.
so,
yeah.
All right, I got another question for you. If DC called you right now, and Marvel called you right now, come work for us, where would you go right now?
Ooh, wow. I don't know. Part of me would want to go to DC so I can fix things, but I think editorial would probably keep me from doing it, you know? Like, if they gave me any one character, I'm pretty sure I could flip it from what they're doing now and make it more interesting. Whereas, like, Marvel, I'm pretty sure they'd say, do this, this, and this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we want you to draw him like you drew this, and that's it, you know? But I think DC, like, I've read both all my life, but I've always kind of swung more in the direction of DC because their characters feel more iconic. They don't change. They don't change every 10 years or every 5 years because there's some new fad or something like that. Whereas like Marvel characters, they're always changing their appearance or the style of the book or, you know, whatever the status quo is, like they did with Cap. Cap is now the Soldier of Tomorrow. I'm like, what? Where did that come from? Just he's Captain America. Keep it, simple. There was a point in time where freaking the Black Panther was Daredevil, and I was like, wait, what? Why is Daredevil not in his own book? Like, what? Why did you? Who said this was a good idea? But I like when some things just, you don't have to keep on switching things up every second. People like the character, give them good stories, and good art to go with the stories, and then the books should sell. I'm not a gimmick person. Gimmicks get on my nerves.
Well, good for you then.
But
all right, one more question for you.
Okay.
Let's see. I forgot. What other figures that down the road, like for 2015, do you want?
Oh wow.
That you know coming out.
There are the Marvel Legends, and this is kind of a maybe, the Odin wave that's coming out, because they have a Scarlet Witch that actually looks like a woman. she doesn't look like a 12-year-old. Then they have Captain Marvel, and they have Machine Man, which is one of my favorites. Have you ever read Next Wave?
No.
Next Wave. I don't know
that character.
Next Wave was this team. It was the Commander, I think his name was, or the Captain. He was kind of like a down and out ex-superhero who gets drafted onto this team that was led by Monica Rambeau, who was she was the you remember her? She was Captain Marvel for a while. Then there's Moonstone was on there. Machine Man, of course, was on there, and goodness, there's someone else. But anyway, the book was kind of it was comedy. It was like this superhero team. They get things done, but they're kind of not quite D-list and not quite like A-list. You know what I mean? Like some of the characters are known, especially Monica Rambeau, but the other characters were kind of obscure. And they would just get in these crazy situations, and the things they fought were just hilarious. I mean, I don't know how else to describe it. It's one of the funniest Marvel books I've ever read. And I'm pretty sure they have it in trade, and it's not expensive anymore. I mean, it was when it first came out. I think it was like $24. It's got to be like 10 now, something like that. But that's where Machine Man comes from, and I think they did a figure of him. He's in that wave. Scarlet Witch is in that wave. Captain Marvel, the newer designed Carol Danvers with the I think she had a mohawk, and then they like changed her hair somewhat. She's in that wave. Odin is the Build-A-Figure, and then King Thor, I think, is there's like two, Build-A-Figures. There's some other people. I don't know why I can't remember. Oh, Sentry, the Sentry that they showed us years ago. He's coming out in this line.
With that, man.
Yeah, I'm like, why do they keep doing that crap? And then there's someone else. But anyway, I want I want to build Odin, and I want to get the Scarlet Witch and Captain Marvel and Machine Man. I really want to get those guys. But it's only if the plastic and stuff is good, because that's the problem with those figures.
Yeah. I got a couple. See the movie series Captain America. Steve Rogers.
Those were good.
Not mine.
Oh, really? What happened?
His joints are all loose. The plastic's really cheap, I think.
Oh, wow.
He can barely stand. And then I got the movie series Spider-Man 2. And same thing, man. He can't stand. Yeah. Wow. I am so mad. And then, let's see. I don't know. I struck out on the last 2 Marvel Legends that I got. But the Black Widow, fine. Hawkeye from whatever wave that was with the glasses. I just opened them up right before we started filming because it was. I bought this like over a year ago now.
Wow.
And I got them too, so I just opened them up perfect. But man, I was so mad at those. There's nothing worse. Open up a package and you got loose leg syndrome.
Yeah, man, that's so good.
Syndrome.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Because they want to go out and and especially. Okay, here's my biggest gripe. Marvel Legends. I mean, they're home run. I admit, I'm a DC guy, but Marvel Legends home run, right? Unless you get a broken one, and that's going to happen. Quality control. That happened when we were kids. Man, I remember getting Recondo all excited, and all of a sudden he put that gun in his hand and goes, whoop! like, no, it's all loose already.
Yeah.
But okay, so Mattel said, screw it, we're not making DC no more. I mean, the guy Scott Knight, he said, oh, it's because of the oil prices. Because it does take make plastic as oil and all that. But then he goes to a company, and just this came out, he goes to that Jack Pacific, and they're making those 4-foot, Ninja Turtle action figure. You can't make a 6-inch action figure, Mattel, but you can make. But he goes to a company that they're making 4-inch Supermans, or I don't know that. Well, Mattel's making 4-inch Supermans,
and Batman and Joker.
Right here, over here, but. Why can't you still make DCUC, man? That doesn't make any sense.
They were lying. And it's weird because they secured the master license for another 3 years. So
I predict by the time 2016 rolls around, we're going to start seeing some kind of good 6-inch figures from them. Oh, look, we brought them back on demand.
It'll probably be next year because if they have only 3 years, they're going to try and capitalize as much as possible. Because, they started making those stupid. I shouldn't say stupid because my son loves them.
They're stupid. I know what you're going to do.
The Total Heroes, man. I'm like, and they're 6-inch figures. They're just not as good. Yeah.
Rob's Rogues buys us. I'm always telling him, don't support that line.
Exactly. I only picked up Batman and the Flash for. My older son wanted a Flash figure, and we couldn't find anything in the store except for that one. So I picked that up for him. And then the younger son saw my Batman figures, so I was like, all right, I got to get him a 6-inch Batman that he can play with and he won't destroy. And I had bought the, what are they called? The Power Attack Batman figures from before. The weird, deformed, the cool Batmobiles, but they're, really, tiny little heads, no neck, and, really giant hands and feet. I bought one of those for him, and he tried to make him do a split. He just broke him at the crotch, and I was like, oh. So I got him the new one, the Total Heroes ones, and it's weird because I remember reading what you said, where Nightlick said, it's the process is too expensive, blah blah blah, and then they make a new 6-inch line. I was like, wait a second.
Exactly.
He just keeps lying about stuff. Or they say that, and then Masters of the Universe Classics is one of the best lines I've ever seen. You know what I mean? Consistently. And they even make the corny characters cool.
Exactly.
I'm what?
They're making She-Ra characters that no one's heard of.
Exactly. I'm like, are you kidding me? You made a toy of a character named Perfuma for adult collectors? Really?
Yeah. And, I can't get a proper... not over here. Red Hood, I get a proper Red Hood. I had to pay Anthony's Customs to make part of that, and I made the rest of it. He made the head sculpt, I made the rest of it, and it turned out good. But man, they need to bring that line back. I don't care. Gas prices went down. Bring that line back. Or at least you brought up a good point on your Batman review. NECA 89 Batman. Even though I have issues with that. That's a damn good figure.
Yeah.
That black one. I can understand why they made the cartoon, the video game one, but man, I after watching your review, I would not mind if I saw one at the store. I would probably grab it.
Yeah, it's an
That's
awesome
where
figure.
they need to go, man.
And I'm always playing around with this guy. Always playing around with them because I'm just so like amazed that they made him. You know, I mean,
exactly. So if NECA can do that, Mattel could do that.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think the guys at Mattel don't care. They're more. It's like they want a safe bet, and they know that He-Man is a safe bet because they're charging $35 a pop for those figures, and they have people that are invested. Whereas like the DC people, they're a little bit pickier because in comics, most people like who they like. They don't like everybody all across the board, you know? So I don't know. And they've made so many weird choices with who they gave us, like which figures they gave us. And I'm just like, why didn't you just listen to us? Like when Justice League Unlimited was on, they should have been making all those characters in a DCUC form. You know?
Yeah.
That would have made perfect sense. Yeah, that would have made perfect sense. But they didn't.
You know, the new DC collectibles Batman, you know.
Yeah.
They should have been making those. That's their original. Mattel made that.
Yeah.
Why did they scale up, man? Obviously they have the molds. They should have thought of that, but no. DC collectible stuff. Which, like, if you see this is my second one.
I watched them. You had one that was like he broke at the leg or something like that, I think.
Yeah. But DC Collectibles are now saying, write them, and I guess they'll send you a replacement or something.
Really?
I saw that online. Rob Droge shared the link.
Man, I'm going to have to write them about like 3 or 4 of my figures and then give them links to the reviews because, remember, all those...
They probably will respond back, I'm assuming, because they are trying to listen. At least they're trying.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, they've been upping their game in the last couple of years. I mean, look at the articulation in like so many of their figures now.
Yeah,
I'm like, wow.
They're going to break them, man.
Yeah.
You know? So I'm not going to get this whole line because I originally had all the littler ones.
Yeah, me too. I still have them.
I sold all mine. I've had like 3 collections over my period of collecting, and I've usually sold them off. This is my biggest collection now, but I won't sell this because I got my G.I. Joes I want, I got my DCUC I want, and I'm good. But they quit making G.I. Joes, and they quit making DCUC.
Yeah, man.
That's why you asked me, hey, what's coming on your channel next year? I don't know, man. I really don't know.
Is there anything that you like, any line of figures or characters that you would have wanted to have seen in an action figure line that just never was made?
That is so funny that you brought that. I was going to make a video, and I'll probably still make it, but here's an exclusive video of what characters they should make or that never made that should be made. So they definitely need to bring back the Mask. You remember the Mask?
Oh, yeah. Mask was awesome. I had a couple of those.
I could never find any of those around here. And I just wanted the Camaro because my parents had a Camaro like that when I was growing up. So I was like, I can relate to that. So never could find any of those. Definitely, and now they're too expensive on eBay to buy.
I know, man.
And I bet you the quality of those plastics ain't that great now either.
No, strangely enough.
Spring-loaded toys, too. I'm pretty sure those springs will
Yeah, some of them, like my best friend had a bunch of them, and some of them, the mechanisms worked up until now, and the plastic wasn't like as brittle as some of the stuff we get today, you know?
Yeah.
Which is strange, man, because like when I was reviewing, and I still have more Cops figures to review, those are like 20-something-year-old, 26-year-old figures, and like they're still in great condition, and you know, me and my son play with them. They don't fall apart. And then I've got like Marvel Legends that I just bought because they just got made, you know, this year, and they fall apart in the package, and you're like, what? How is that possible? That doesn't make any sense. That
doesn't, yeah. So here's another one. You remember that movie Black Hole from when we were kids?
What was it called?
Black Hole. It's about that Disney movie. About
Yeah.
With the robots, and it was a cheap Star Wars knockoff.
Yeah.
They had action figures of those, but they sucked. I would love to see a proper, like, you know, Star Wars size Vincent, Maximilian. That would be cool.
I do remember those. I just saw the trailer for that the other day because I was like, the Black Hole. I think I saw this, and then I watched the trailer, and I was like, wow, I remember this. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. I like that movie. Some people don't, but it was kind of different. But, you know, good for Disney to try to, I guess, rip off Star Wars. I don't know.
They had a lot of things like that. They had a lot of things like that back then where it was a little bit different from what everybody else was on at the time. you know, or maybe it was a throwback to something else that, you know, that we got back in the day. Yeah, that would be cool. Because sometimes they need to revisit that stuff and, like, you know, add better engineering or something, you know, or
exactly.
Yeah, that would
All
be
right. Number one, that figures they should make, and they can make a lot of these figures, because the first season they had more characters. Then on the second season they had less characters, and they could have them build a figure too. You ready for this?
Yeah.
I want a 6-inch line of the Facts of Life. You know those girls. And the build a figure will be Mrs. Garrett. That would be awesome. How cool would that be?
That would be awesome.
The first season, they had like 8 girls or something, and then it cut all out and only stuck 4 girls in there.
That's awesome.
That would be awesome. And then you could have them, you know, several different versions of Blair, because she got older through the years.
Yeah, that's true.
And Natalie got fatter over the years, so you can maybe by the end she could be the extra Build-A-Figure.
Oh my God. I do remember that show. I did watch that like crazy when I was a kid. Man.
See? You would buy that line. Because you watched the show. I would too.
Oh man, that is awesome. Wow, I was not expecting the Facts of Life.
Oh, you know, and the spinoff of that show was or vice versa, was Different Strokes. So they could tie in that line too.
Oh
so there's
God,
at least 2 ways of figures right there. So
that's true. That's very true. Wow.
All right, there you go, man. That's what I want to see.
Wow. Yeah, wow. That was awesome. I was not thinking in that direction at all. Wow. Wow.
People, they're buying those old, you know, retro figures.
That's true. That's true.
Aliens and
Predator.
I saw Twilight Zone the other day.
Yeah, Predator and Terminator. We saw them at the store the other day. My son was like, "What the heck is that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man, this is what we used to get back in the day." Toys have come a long way.
I would buy those in that form, Back to Life.
Yeah.
Back to Life.
Yeah, that'd be funny. I probably wouldn't open them. I'd just leave them on my wall. But yeah, I would definitely get something like that. Man, that's crazy. Throwback TV shows. Like, I want a throwback Michael Knight, and then I'll go and buy the car. Did you see that?
Oh, there we go.
That'd be awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's my last question. So, and we had talked about this one a little bit. So both of us in the last couple years had wait, you have one kid, right?
Just one, yeah.
Yeah. So in the last couple years, we both became dads. So how has that been in conjunction to you being a collector and, you know, geeking out about your stuff and all that? How's that been? So,
for example, 89 Batman came around, and I was quite surprised. It seemed like it just went like that. Oh my God, where'd that figure come from? And I would get that, but do I really need that? Because, you know, I got to provide for my son. And same with, you know, some other G.I. Joes. I wouldn't mind having that I didn't have as a kid, but I'm like, I would like to have that. But do I really need that? That's what I've been saying a lot lately. Yeah. Do I really need that? Because I got to provide. And I want to be a good dad to my son. You know, I don't want to be that bum dad that has all the toys. So I just want to be a good person. But, you know, and, you know, this funny story, you know, we talked about this online, but I'll say it again. When, you know, Batman had Damian, and when that first came about, I'm like, oh, man, that's a sucky storyline. Because I didn't have a kid at the time. Yeah. Why would Batman have a kid? And then, you know, we grew up on Tim Drake. We're like, man, you know, they're just pushing Tim Drake aside. Yeah. What a waste of character. And then recently, I guess a year and a half ago or something, Damian died. I had my kid, and I'm like, oh, man, that is so sad that Bruce lost his kid. Yeah. No dad, real or fictional, should lose his son, you know, even if putting his son in danger every night. Not that kid. Yeah. But, you know, so the way it looks like they're bringing back Damian, you know, so that's good. I want Bruce to be happy. And he went nuts, man. I kind of skimmed through, you know, at the store, you know, we got a video store here that sells comics. So I just kind of skimmed through, you know, Batman or whatever looks good. And I'm like, But they're just making them crazy now, which
Yeah.
I would too be crazy if I lost my son.
Yeah.
But as collector wise, I had to slow down. And thank goodness Mattel quit making.
I know, right?
I'm kind of happy that Mattel quit making these UCs. So I'm like, oh man, that's kind of perfect timing.
Exactly.
And then G.I. Joe, I got on the last thing of G.I. Joe, and I'm like, oh, that's over too. Man.
Yeah. Exactly.
So then if you see my videos, I hit it hard there at the beginning, then all of a sudden, bloop, no videos. Too busy with my son, and I'd rather spend time with my son than anything.
Yeah.
But I like making YouTube videos, and spend time with my son will always, win over the YouTube videos. But, so when I see something, I always have to say, do I really need it? And I'll just say up for it. And, you got those crazy eBay prices, and that's what I'm afraid of. That '89 Batman's going to skyrocket up.
He already has, man.
But if you just wait long enough, you'll see something. You're like, oh wow, someone's actually selling that at a decent price.
Mm-hmm.
Like an example, that DC Direct Robin, he's over there somewhere, but he's just a adult-looking Robin. Right in the '80s, it's an older DC Direct. In the '80s, he was an adult, but he was still Robin right before he became Nightwing.
Yeah.
George Perez, I think, drew it, and that's the style it is too.
Yeah.
And that thing like a lot of money, and I'm like,
know.
I'm never going to get that. But I always saved it in my searches, always save your eBay searches,
Oh, yeah.
And then I saw it one day, it popped up, new item, Robin. Oh my gosh, $19. I couldn't believe it. Buy it now for $19. Then of course, I opened it up and his arm fell off.
Oh.
No.
Jeez.
But I'm trying to super glue that. But everything I have them finally, so
yeah,
that's one of the things I like. So, I just have to tell myself, just save your money, or do I really need it?
Yeah.
So, but if I lost my job and I had to sell all my stuff, I'd do it in a heartbeat. Support my family.
Yeah.
I love my son. I'm not going to have any more.
Yeah.
I'm 40 years old. He was kind of okay, you're pregnant? Oh, thank God. We've been waiting 10 years. I've been married over 10 years now.
That's awesome.
And then all of a sudden he comes around. I'm like, all right, we're good to
go. Yeah, man.
What about you?
I've been like that. Like, so when I met my wife, or the woman who became a wife, she had a son from a previous marriage. So I just was like, we're a family. So I'm a dad. I'm taking care of
Good for you.
So,
Good for you.
So I always kind of, and I've said it even in my reviews and stuff, I'm like, sometimes you see those prices and you got to be like, yeah, no, is it this, or am I going to feed my family? Or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like sitting in my cave playing with my action figure, like, ooh, and everybody's starving, ribs touching and stuff. Like, no, no way. So yeah, I kind of had that to some degree. I mean, I wasn't the only person responsible for him, because his dad definitely was in the picture. But I started thinking like that, like, this, or do I do this for everybody else? Then when the younger son was born, it was just like, man, I want to be around for everything. I'm going to make sure I'm here. I almost was hovering a little too much, and my wife is laughing at me. I'm like, move. I'm putting my hand. I'm trying. I just want to I want to see all the stuff that he's going to go through as he gets older and whatnot, And, I'm usually amazed as I see him pick up things and figure stuff out. I'm just like, wow, this is crazy. I never really thought I would be amazed by this stuff, And then I see it and I'm just like, dang, you're smart. Like, wow, how'd you figure that out? And I'm like, he's walking around the rooms, and like we baby proof to a point, but like my man cave is not baby proof. So like shelves that are about his height, because he's about to be 2 in January. He's now about the height of my desk. So like the corners, and he's big for his age too. People always think he's like 5 or something. I'm like, nah, he's 1. And they're like, what? The other day we went to Big Fun, and actually this was a few months ago. We went to Big Fun, and the owner heard him naming off all the different superheroes, in his little tiny elf voice, like, Batman and Superman. And I think at the time he was having trouble saying Green Lantern, but he knew who he was. And the dude asked him, so who's your favorite superhero? And he was like, Batman. And he said it in the voice and everything. And the guy gave him a plush '89 Batman figure, just
cool.
right there. I was like, wow. But they were all amazed that he was only one, and he already could tell you who all these characters were, you know? But yeah, I find myself like trying to, I go out of my way sometimes to like, I'm putting my hand beside his head when he's walking towards like the corner of a, you know, a desk or something. And I'm just like, my wife's like, he's got to figure out that if he bumps into it, it's going to hurt, you know? So he stops. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't want him to start crying. So I'm just going to block his head right now so he doesn't hurt himself. But yeah, it's weird with collecting. I still do I get stuff for him before I get it for me now. Like when we go to like Target or something, and he likes the Imaginext. So we'll go into the Imaginext aisle, and if he sees something that's, you know, reasonable, and a lot of that stuff is really reasonably priced for what it is, you know, and he'll pick up something, and I'll look at it. If he really likes it, I'll get it, as long as everything else is taken care of, you know.
Of course.
The other day, the dog ate one of his figures, and he was really mad because we've never seen him really get mad like this. He was like, she bit the head is off. Like, the head fell off. And we're like, no, she bit the head off. And he was like, no. And we're just cracking up. My wife caught it on tape and everything, or on video and everything. And we're just like, wow, I've never seen him really, like, he was mad. And I told him I'm going to go get another one. I got him another one.
Good for you.
And he started, you know, he was super amazed when he saw it because it was a little different, but same. It was a guy that came with a dog, like a police officer with a dog, and a bike with the sidecar, so you can put the dog in the sidecar. And yeah, he digs it. He really likes that stuff. So, you know, I try to make sure we take care of, you know, what we need to take care of so we can have his stuff to geek out with too. Because when he comes up to the man cave, he sees all my crap, and it's like, yeah, you can play with this, but you can't play with that, or, you know.
Well, does he comprehend that?
Yeah, it's weird. Like the last week, or maybe it was the week before, it was the first time he ever knocked down anything in the cave. He like walked over to Gambit, where my X-Men stuff is, and he went to touch his I think he went to grab him by the staff, because I have him holding his staff on his shoulder. And then he fell down, and then immediately he stopped, and he like looked at me like, "Oh crap!" And I was like, "You knocked something down, didn't you?" And he was like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Don't worry about it. I'll fix it," you know. But normally he just walks up to things and like stares really closely, because he knows from like when he was tiny, just learning how to walk. I was like, "Don't touch, just look. Don't touch, just look."
Well, good for you.
Yeah, so we got lucky with that. He's pretty smart. But yeah, it changed that whole thing of having the little baby around. It changed some things, but most things feel the same. Like, we watch movies. He's been watching kung fu movies with me since he was like 3 months. Like, he sat down with me one day. I was holding him and I'm like feeding him. He stopped drinking and he was like focused on the screen, and he's like following the action, and I'm like, how do you know you need to follow the action? You're 3 months old and you have no frame of reference. Like, what's going on? And, you know, I just do the same stuff I always did kind of with him, you know? What about you guys?
All my stuff is in this room. You know, I think I have some Star Trek stuff on the, you know, at the dining room, and then they got this cabinet, and all the Star Trek shit are on top. The God had no place in here for him. But, so, in this room here, he's never been in this room. And so when he's 16, he's probably going like, what's in there? And I'm letting him come in here. This has been here the whole time. I thought this was the closet. That's what I'm waiting for.
Yeah, I know, right? When they figure out what it is that's up here. Because I think that's, like, my room is up. It's the 3rd floor, technically. It's like the attic and all that. And you got to go up a bunch of stairs, and they're kind of steep. So I know most people are just like, I don't feel like going up there. I figure when he figures out and he gets older and he realizes what all this stuff is, like, am I going to have to lock the door or, like, you know, put booby traps around or something? like what is it going to be like when he gets older and he realizes, you know, like, there's all this stuff? Like, he could probably sell something in here and get a decent amount of money for it. You know what I mean? Like, it's weird. I don't know. But I try to have his place, his little spot in his room set up similar so that he knows, you know, like when you finish playing with stuff, you put it away and like don't beat your stuff up too hard. Play with it, but you know, try to take care of it so you can have it. And he's kind of getting the hang of it. He doesn't chew on his toys. I was surprised. I was expecting him to do that, but he doesn't chew on his toys.
Well, so that's good.
I'm really glad we got a chance to do one of these, man. Hopefully,
finally.
Yeah, I know,
it's
right?
all my fault. I've been so busy.
No, that's all right. Stuff happens, and I mean, it's that time of year, too. There's a lot of stuff towards the end of the year that has to be done, and you got to be on top of things. So, yeah, it's understandable.
So, are you going to post this all together, or are you going to break it up in segments, or how are you going to do it?
Probably just all of it together.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, like I never liked the podcast thing either. I mean, most times I would listen to... you know, I used to listen to What's on Joe Mind. Have you ever listened to that podcast? It's a G.I. Joe podcast. But what I noticed is that I'm not the collectors that they're speaking to. Like the audience that they speak to, it's guys with like real disposable income and stuff like that. And, you know, I don't have disposable income. So like a lot of times I always talk about being a smart collector. You know, because you wait for the price to go down. I mean, even ODC, that's me. He'll mention it too. Like, just wait, or, you know, don't pay extra for something that just came out when you could just go to Target and buy it for the regular price. So, yeah, I started noticing that in the podcast, a lot of these guys, they obviously are like execs somewhere and they make enough money that this is like a real hobby. Whereas for us, it's just like every now and then we have extra money and we put it into this, you know? So... Yeah. I couldn't get into what they were saying, you know, them buying Brazilian releases of G.I. Joes just because, and it's mint on card, and you know, this graphic is backwards, so it costs $300 as opposed to the one that was right would cost $100. I'm like, what is wrong with you guys? Like, that's not for me. So yeah, I don't really listen to podcasts that much. Every now and then I do. I listen to the Foosh podcast. I like those guys.
I got a website. I didn't know they had podcasts.
Yeah, just like over the last maybe year and a half or so, it started popping up on YouTube, and they've only had a few episodes. I think they've done like 4 of them, maybe.
They're funny.
Yeah,
we're on the site, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I learned a lot from their site. I didn't know about a lot of things like bootleg. You remember NECA made Ninja Turtles a couple years ago?
I think so.
There were bootlegs of them, and the bootlegs are better made than the NECA figures, the actual NECA figures. So, yeah, people were pointing it out on the Foosh, and someone did comprehensive like pictures, and they showed you the joints, and they're showing you what's different about this joint versus. I was like, wow, I had no clue. I had no clue. But yeah, I like that site. But yeah, this is one of those things where it's the folks like it. So I'm like, hey, let's talk. And plus it's a little bit easier to just talk, you know what I'm saying? And just, you know, I don't like the scripted. That's one thing I noticed. I can't watch the scripted reviews because I'm just like, ugh, you wrote that down, didn't you? Like, come on. It feels so like it's not genuine, I guess. It feels so fake. And I just prefer just chatting. That's why we call it off our brains, because we just, whatever happens. We just talk about whatever. Yeah. But
that's cool.
Cool, man. Well, I know we've hit what is it, like over 2 hours? So I'm gonna yeah. I know, time flies. But it's been dope talking, man. It's good to finally get to do this.
We'll definitely do this again.
Yeah, for sure. We'll do that. And I'll get the other guys in. We'll get ODC and Agent O and Clarion and all of them. Yeah, we'll do that for sure.
Let me know, and of course, if my schedule's good, I'll try to make it happen.
That's cool,
I'm
man.
like the worst person to collab with right now. I'm like, I don't know.
Yay. You got a life, you know what I mean? We have lives. That's the thing. So, you know, maybe one day this will be the life. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. All right, man. It's good talking to you.
Have a good evening.
You too, man.
All right. See you.
All right. Peace, man.
You too.